Heck, Truth Seeker. Yesterday, it was suggested that I should start doing more reaction videos, meaning reacting to other people's content. I said we give it a shot today. If you would like to send over some content, please email me. I pinned it as the top comment. You can see on the screen where it says Zelle and then the email address next to it. That's the same email address you would send your email to. Just shoot the link of what you want me to react to and say what the timestamp is in that link. I was thinking in the future, Wednesdays and Thursdays are now the easiest days for me to stream. If you guys like this reaction thing, we can make it a component of every live stream. But yeah, it could be the best of the internet. It could be the worst of the internet. Just something that you think needs to be addressed, something you have a question about. So, yeah. Right now, what the internet is so busy with is the latest political theater. Again, you learn what we're talking about. You don't get emotionally invested in this theater. You just see the way the game is played and the way the cabal tries to play with you. But yeah, real quick, again, I'll cover the latest political theater while hopefully a few people shoot over some emails with some content to react to. But again, the latest political theater, Musk versus Trump, pretty predictable. It seemed like an odd pairing from the beginning. You know, the guy who's associated with the electric car versus the guy who really doesn't like electric cars. So it seems like this was a very predictable demise. But yeah, the main point I made is, you know, the fallout is largely over Donald Trump not being a fiscal conservative and supposedly appointing this DOGE, this Department of Government Efficiency, to minimize government waste, only to turn around and propose the biggest, most bloated bill in the history of the United States of America. And that comes on top of the first ever $1 trillion military budget. And again, this fallout happens on Ronald Reagan's death anniversary. Of course, Ronald Reagan, a Hollywood actor like Trump, who ran on MAGA like Trump, which is the highest degree of the Church of Satan. But yeah, on Reagan's death anniversary, the man who said he wanted to make government so small he could drown it in the bathtub, only to make it way bigger. Again, Reagan made government way bigger than any president ever had before him. And yet, here we are in 2025, and people still believe in these politicians when every year they lie, they lie, they lie, they don't deliver. Growing up, people would always say Ronald Reagan was the greatest U.S. president ever. And I didn't know nearly as much as I do now, but I knew some things that obviously weren't good about Reagan, including his lie about making government small, only to make it enormous. I also knew about what he did with the drug war and how that put dark-complected people behind prison bars, a lot of them for life, in very disproportionate rates. But yeah, again, let's recap the ritual. Tesla's stock price to open the day on June 5th was $322. Again, very important number to Kabbalah, which has a tree of life made out of 3 pillars and 22 paths, which is alluded to in Genesis 3:22. Very important number to the Illuminati, where their founder died on the 322nd day of the year. Very important number to Skull and Bones, known as Order 322, modeled after the Bavarian Illuminati, which again was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. Again, the Jesuits gave us the calendar and the language. But they said that the share fell nearly $40 yesterday and cost Elon Musk $34 billion and his company $153 billion. But again, just starting with the $34 billion. On this same day, Elon Musk said Trump's in the Epstein files, which again, I mean, is that even news? I thought everybody would obviously know that. How couldn't he be? They're buddies. Everyone's heard the recording 1,000 times of Trump talking about how Epstein likes young girls and he likes Epstein. And everyone's heard the recording of Trump himself saying he wants to have relations with a 10-year-old girl in 10 years, which shows you that he's a real creeper. And for anyone who voted for him just for that, shame on you. You voted for a man who says that he wants to have intimate relations with a 10-year-old in 10 years. Well, he said when she's legal. Again, just imagine being in a room with a man talking about his sexual attraction to a 10-year-old girl, because that's Donald Trump. And also imagine if you knew that man talked about his daughter sexually, as Donald Trump did with, Ivanka many a times. This is a creepy, sick, disgusting man. And that's just a fact. And if you supported him, you supported a creepy, disgusting man. Okay, so anyway, the Epstein thing, though. Again, Epstein supposedly offed himself 34 days after being found guilty. We covered that way back in 2019. Now here we are on the same day. Musk says he's in the Epstein files. He loses $34 billion. Epstein, 34, suicide, murder. Are these stories even real? Is it all made up? Of course it's all made up. The world is a stage. People like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, they are all puppets playing their part. They cover up for what we really have going on in the U.S., where we should all know, because in the House of Representatives, there's those big Roman fasces on the wall, the root word of fascism. And fascism is the merger of government and the state, and big tech with big government subsidies might as well be the state. And realize what big tech's being used to do. It's being used to circumvent the Constitution. Pretty much all human interaction has moved to the internet, where everything can be heavily censored and what people see can be tightly controlled, and you think it's private entities doing it, but is it really private entities? Or are these government operations, which we know they are? It's just like how DARPA's LifeLog ended February 4th, 2004, and it was essentially Facebook. And then that exact same day, Facebook launched. And then the CIA head came out and said it's never been so easy to collect the data and information of the American people. Again, this is all part of the surveillance state that's been built. 9/11 happened, the Patriot Act, which introduced the surveillance state and made it the law of the land. At the same time, everyone's getting cell phones. The next thing you know, it's Google, it's Facebook, it's all these things that are being used to control information, the flow of information, keep tabs on all your data, as we all know. But yeah, they put these puppets as the face of these institutions. So you say, oh, well, it's his company. No, it's his company. He made the company. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. These are the puppets. And that's why everything's by the numbers every day. Again, the Kabbalistic code of letters and numbers. This whole thing comes from Kabbalah. The Cabal is the secret political faction. They operate by Kabbalah. It's very obvious. And again, on this same day, if you watched ESPN all day, the story about ESPN before game one of the NBA Finals, again, news and sports are all connected. They're talking about how Paul George is actually who this NBA Finals is centered on, even though he's not on the court, because he was so instrumental for the Pacers who he was drafted by, and then he played for Oklahoma City. We pointed out yesterday before the game that the game was 34 days after Paul George's birthday. Was that the clue for the major underdog? And of course, just as scripted as possible of a finish. Total joke of it. Tyrese Halliburton carries 3 times. Should have been 3 turnovers. Then the Magnets sucked the ball through the rim. Anyway, Indiana did win 34 days after Paul George's birthday. And again, in Gematria, you run the alphabetic order in reverse as well. Indiana equals 47 the other way. They picked up their 47th all-time win versus Oklahoma City in this feud in the administration of number 47. But here's the bigger piece with Indiana and the fallout. Again, Elon Musk called on J.D. Vance to become the president of the United States. Well, who was the last VP for Trump? Mike Pence from Indiana, who is 65 years old right now, like Rick Carlisle, the coach of the Pacers, who won the NBA Finals in the 65th season. And again, Jim Irsay of the Indianapolis Colts just died right before tip-off of the Eastern Conference Finals at 65. I put out the video then and said, the finals start on 6/5, and he's just announced dead at 65. But okay, about vice presidents, the star of the Pacers is Tyrese Halliburton. And anytime anyone says Halliburton, unless they've lived under a rock, they probably automatically think of Dick Cheney, the man who ran the company, Halliburton, and who was the vice president to Bush when some really crazy stuff went down. It was also Dick Cheney's Halliburton who bought the world's greatest oil cleanup company and got the multi-$100 million contract for the cleanup of the Gulf oil spill back in 2010, which came just 2 days after they bought the company that got the contract. That's the kind of stuff that's always driven me nuts. I didn't even know Gematria back in 2010, but I was like, how don't the American people see this? I mean, they're telling you in the news. They're saying, oh, coincidentally, Halliburton just bought the company that got the huge contract for this. It's just like, they're pretty much telling you that they have destroyed the Gulf, at least temporarily, with a toxic pollutant of oil going everywhere to make a few bucks. Is the world this sick? But nobody even blinks an eye. That's what's maddening. Anyway, this vice president theme, J.D. Vance, Mike Pence, Dick Cheney. You see how Dick Cheney's 84 years old right now, and he's also from Lincoln, Nebraska? But just about him being 84, we know that's no slouch of a number. Just notice Indiana Pacers is 84, right? Indiana Pacers, 84. Of course, United States of America's 84. It's a special number there, 84. So yeah, Dick Cheney just happens to be 84 at the time that Halliburton's beating Oklahoma City. Where was Halliburton founded? In Oklahoma. And notice that Dick Cheney's from Lincoln, Nebraska. Lincoln 34. They're also calling this the Mega Civil War. Lincoln, of course, was the president in the Civil War. 3 U.S. presidents are connected to Lincoln, including Abraham Lincoln, as well as the 2 Harrisons. William Henry Harrison was the first president to die in office on April 4th in 1841. Benjamin Harrison was the 23rd president. This ritual went down 23 days before Musk's birthday, but again, Benjamin Harrison was the president between the Grover-Cleveland split terms, when Trump has all these parallels to Cleveland, the only other split-term president. And remember, his last split term was 132 years ago, like the 132 rooms in the White House, like how United States of America equals 132, as does England, as does Catholic Church, as does Roman Catholic. And this country was named the United States of America 132 days from the establishment of the Illuminati, which was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, at about the time the Revolutionary War began between the U.S. and England, where we never really got free. But yeah, just this whole 34 thing, just all the 34s going on. And yesterday, Musk being the latest with the 34 billion reportedly lost after Trump's 34 guilty charges, again, over the hush money trial that had to do with Stormy. And, you know, the charges came in April during Passover when Trump compared himself to Jesus Christ and said he was like Jesus on the cross. And of course, Jewish is also 34. And look at this article from Rolling Stone on 3/4. Rolling Stone, again, Jesus rolled the stone as he resurrected and escaped the tomb, at least according to the mysticism that a lot of people take for gospel. Again, just the whole tariffs thing has been a lot of 34 rituals, including the market tanking on the 3rd day of the 4th month after, at first, 34% additional tariffs on China, and then China retaliating with 34% additional tariffs on the U.S., which quickly jumped up to more and more and more until we got to 145% versus 125%. But yeah, and again, Ukraine's another big fat 34. And I just have to, again, point out just all this gematria overlap with Ukraine and tariffs, 2 of the top things going on related to this country right now. You see it, 79, 34, 110, 47. This Lincoln piece. Remember last year, Trump's assassination hoaxes were synced up with the Secret Service being established on the day Lincoln was shot in the time of the Civil War. Right now, we're in the 79th NBA season. Last night, the Pacers had their biggest deficit. They were down 94-79, and then they rallied quickly from there to win the game, down 15 in the 4th, down 94-79. For the record, Tyrese Halliburton equals 94, and they keep comparing the Pacers this year to the 94 Pacers team with Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller, number 31 years ago, was 94. Halliburton scored 31 in game 1 against the Knicks with the ball that bounced 10 feet in the air and the magnet sucked it down after he almost blew the script, because at first he was running in like he was going to drive to the hoop, and then he just turned around and ran straight back and hoisted one up, and the magnet sucked it through. The National Basketball Association, a.k.a. nothing but actors. Just like in the White House. That's why they like the actors in there, too. The world is a stage. But yeah, isn't it interesting how all of this just has this crazy overlap? And don't forget when, at the beginning of the whole Ukraine thing, they had to tell you that because of Ukraine, it increased U.S. inflation 7.9%. This is the kind of stuff that goes on every day, just feeding you bullshit by the numbers. Yeah, and about just the Jesuits running the world stage, who gave us the language and the calendar, and who control these puppets, and D.C. being the Jesuit stronghold, and that's why the capital was moved there, and what they did with Inauguration Day, all things we've covered 1,000 times. But remember, Musk offered $54 per share on the 14th of April, beginning the process of acquiring Twitter, which is now X. That was the anniversary of Lincoln being shot and the Titanic sinking. Last night on his platform, shots fired on Reagan's death about crazy spending. Run it in reverse. Jesuit orders 153. His company goes down 153 million. If you're new here, these are the 4 base ciphers. Alphabetic order, reverse alphabetic order, both orders with numerology. The Jesuit logo is the sun. Sun equals 54. The sun moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. They're a Catholic order. Of course, 144 and 153 are biblical numbers. Miraculous catch of 153 fish, 144,000 chosen. Keep in mind, Musk will turn 54 years old this month on June 28th. And don't forget, a lot of us got censored for the first time ever on social media on Musk's birthday in 2017. There was a mass deletion of YouTubers, especially the truth community, June 28, 2017, right after Trump took office. I was one of those people who got flushed, and it hurt bad for me because I had never tried to raise a penny. I was about to start raising pennies for the first time by selling my book, which I was almost done with, and then suddenly going from having a channel that was very viral at the time to having no channel and no way to market my book that I'd been working on for years. Major hurt. And then finally, I've been super censored and deleted 1,000 more times since then. I finally get a platform that's working for me, which was Elon Musk's X, where I was getting 2,000 people to watch per stream, which is pretty big numbers on X. And then I got deleted all the way from there on January 27th this year. Again, 1 week after calling out the SS salute by Musk, which I said that day was a tribute to Wernher von Braun, who wrote the book Project Mars about the Elon. And lo and behold, Wernher von Braun's wife died the same day as the salute inauguration day. Go figure. But anyway, part of yesterday, Trump said he's going to take away possibly the subsidies for Elon Musk, which is why he is a billionaire, because he's been given billions of taxpayer dollars. Yesterday's ritual was 23 days before Musk's birthday. SpaceX 23, one of his main subsidized companies. Of course, Donald's also 23. The word end is 23. It's like the end of their relationship. If you write the end, it's 56. Like the date could be written 5/6 plus the 5th of June had 56 date numerology. Again, the anniversary of Ronald Reagan's death, who equals 56. Somebody left a message from his hometown and said, yeah, out here in his hometown, it's exit 56 to get to our town. You'll see that all over the interstates, that the exit numbers pay tribute, to history, to the names of the towns. I've talked about this since I got here. It's one of the first things I noticed once I learned Gematria. I was like, wow, they're doing this with the damn road signs. Anyway, Ronald Reagan, 56, like Washington, D.C., like Society of Jesus. That's the Jesuits. Civil War, they're calling this the Mega Civil War. Civil War 56. Again, we're in the time of the 119th Congress. Elon Musk equals 43 like Civil War. 97's the 25th prime. Here we are in 2025. Trump is 25. Musk said he's going to drop a really big bomb. The phrasing of that, which the media emphasized, was an encoded 60. Like Donald Trump's 60, sacrificing his ex-wife exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit dignation year on the same day he said he'd run in the 60th election. Elon Musk drops really big bomb. And yeah, again, just Epstein files. A lot you can say about all these numbers up here, but remember, Epstein supposedly died 58 days after Trump's birthday during Tisha B'Av, which is the big 58 event, a day of Jewish tragedy. At the time, Trump had won the 58th election after announcing from the 58-story Trump Tower. Also about Musk calling on J.D. Vance on the anniversary of Reagan's death. Reagan number 40, J.D. Vance 40, J.D. 40. You might recall last year in the NFL season, week 4, the Vikings became 4-0 versus Wisconsin. Minnesota is where the VP for Kamala was from, Tim Walz. Wisconsin's where J.D. Vance was named as the VP nominee. Of course, then his college, Ohio State, won the championship on Inauguration Day. Don't forget who told you to put a future in for that before the season began when Johnny Gaudreau died playing in Columbus. And don't forget about that bodybuilder who just got killed right after they won, Jody Vance in Columbus, Ohio. But yeah, anyway, the J.D. Vance 40 thing is obvious, and that's why it mattered last year that the Vikings became 4-0 versus the Packers in the battle of the teams connected to the VPs in the race. J.D. Vance, the other way, is also 23. Like, again, the ritual went down 23 days before Musk's birthday. 23 days for his birthday, he calls on J.D. Vance to be the president. Just think about it. I mean, how isn't this a puppet show? From J.D. Vance's August 2nd birthday to the ritual was 307 days, the 63rd prime. JFK got smoked in 63. The Stanley Cup was just set on JFK's birthday anniversary. It's the same match as last year, which was about JFK, just like the NBA Finals, where it was Boston, JFK Town over Dallas, where he died in 63. Again, Parkland, where Florida is in the NHL. Well, the Florida Panthers play right next to Parkland, but again, JFK died at Parkland Hospital in the 214 area code, thus the Parkland, Florida shooting on 2/14 Valentine's Day. But yeah, the Trump hoax was also 45 days after JFK's birthday last year on July 13th or 13/7, like this ritual went down on the 137th day of the administration. And again, J.D. Vance has been compared to Teddy Roosevelt, who was shot in Milwaukee, who replaced McKinley, who was killed, who was the 25th president, and who Trump honored by renaming Mount Denali, Mount McKinley, as one of the first things he did after taking office in 25. So yeah, this narrative continues to build. You also have what Bongino's doing with Epstein and announcing that, oh yeah, it's all above board on JFK's birthday. Again, Epstein's associated with conspiracy, just like JFK. You got to see how they draw these parallels. We just talked about how Bongino doubled down the other day on the 4th day of the 6th month, saying he has grainy footage, just like how the Zapruder film was nothing but grainy footage for a lot of years when JFK was killed at 4/6, age 46, like Catholics 46. Again, Joe Biden, the second Catholic president, number 46, elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. But yeah, 137th day of the administration was this ritual on June 5th, a date with 56 numerology. Washington, D.C., 136, the alphabetic order, 56 with numerology. Government and White House, 137. One more time, Musk called on Trump's impeachment. Just a reminder that he was impeached 2 times, exactly 56 weeks apart, December 18th and January 13th, 2019 and 2021, exactly 56 weeks apart. We covered this then. The headlines at that time were just through the roof. 56 senators voted in favor of the impeachment. 56% of Americans supposedly supported it. Biden at that time came out and said 56 Trump-appointed judges should step down. Again, that whole time period of Trump's first administration was nothing but 56 rituals. You can see the words on the screen if you're looking at it. If you're listening to your phone in your pocket, not so much. But if you've been around, you know what was going down with 56 in 2020. Yeah, Trump even got acquitted on February 13th, the 56 date numerology. But yeah, just the shots fired on Twitter, now X, and Trump firing back on Truth Social, just these 47 platforms. Trump's done a lot of rituals over the years with Truth Social and 47 since it's been established, including look up the headlines of 47 days of silence on Truth Social. Last night, the Pacers getting their 47th win versus Oklahoma on the day of this major rift with Trump and people in his own administration, reminiscent of what happened with him and Mike Pence, Mr. Indiana. And do you see how Indiana and Oklahoma City both have the 52 connection? Remember words like president, White House, government, they all equal 52. Indiana has the 137. Oklahoma has the 133. Here, just to make this easier for the visual, you can see president, 52, 133, 47. Compare White House. White House, 52, 47, 137, also 133. Government, 133, 52, 47, 137. You can see all the overlap and how they're in Indiana and Oklahoma City. OKC also has the 65 connection. The finals began on the 6th day of the 5th month. One of the many reasons we had OKC in the finals before the season began. Again, they used to be the Sonics team that won the championship in 79. This is the 79 season. Trump is going to turn 79 years old in the middle of these finals on June 14th. And by the way, if you look at the way they scheduled the finals, every game is 3 days apart except for game 4. I'm missing a letter here. Indianapolis. There it is. So, from game 1 to game 2 is 3 days. From game 2 to game 3 is 3 days. From game 3 to game 4 is just 2 days. Game 4 is on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year, and the only 201 city in America, Indianapolis. Pay attention to sports. Whenever you see the funny facing or funny spacing in a series, they're always doing something. I show this stuff year after year. But yeah, they got to have game 4 in Indianapolis on the day leaving 201 days left in the year. So Don't forget the guy who had the horse team just died at 65 right before the finals got underway, Jim Irsay. So yeah, just quick and dirty of the ritualism. I don't know, in a better world, instead of, multi-level marketing scammers who are just total brain dead morons like BPD getting a gazillion views talking about this, in a better world, instead of that guy getting a gazillion views, who deserves no views because he's just a total mouthpiece moron. And again, he claimed he got his wealth from stealing from people by lying to them. And it's amazing that people would tune into a scammer, which YouTube promotes in their algorithm. Like, he came out of nowhere on my feed, just showing him I'm like, who is this guy? I never clicked around thinking, why is it always up here? Why has it got so many views? Who's this guy? Looks like he's a CIA pawn from Iran. BPD. Don't forget, the CIA did overthrow Iran in the 50s on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th, along with British Petroleum. And I wouldn't be surprised if, somehow, some way they got some families over there. And next thing you know, you got a scammer like BPD dominating somehow the U.S. media, getting people to vote for the chump. But yeah, it's like, why are people listening to these people? Like, where did they come from? Why? A scammer? Why would you listen to anything a scammer has to say? Yours truly's been here doing the exact opposite, teaching people very valuable knowledge, helping them improve their financial position, not get manipulated by this. And somehow, some way, I now have 1% of the views that I had 8 years ago. 1% of the views is what I have. For every 100 views I got in 2017, I get 1 view now. And there's no reason for that. It's not like the work fell off. Again, just continue to prove the same things day after day. But what wasn't here 8 years ago? BPD and all this other shit that just came out of nowhere. All this stuff that I guarantee you is your same establishment news media, the same bullshit that runs on TVs now backing what fills up social media. It's disgusting. So anyway, if you got some clips out there from whatever people are watching, things that need to be seen and called out, again, now is the time. Use my email. You can see it on the screen. It's next to where it says Zelle, GematriaEffectNews@gmail.com. Send the clip you want me to view. Give me a timestamp so I know where to go into it, and we can break it down. So I'm going to check my email and see if anybody's participated. Again, somebody said do more reaction videos yesterday. I announced in that stream I'd try it out today. And so far we have one person who sent 2 emails. He says, watch How to Fight the Predator, a schoolboy's book to repel Charlie. Says this is from Strictly Educational Magic with the K. Has taught himself to read several ancient languages, including Hebrew, Greek, and others. Here, he is reacting to Charlie Kirk, but has 1,000 videos about translating religious workings to decipher the true meanings. Now, the one thing you didn't do in this video is give me a timestamp to go to. And, all right, he sent over a 13-minute video. It's a little bit long. I was hoping we can boil it down and maybe get more clips. But all right, here, let's just try it out. This is the first thing sent over. Maybe it'll be enlightening. So, Strictly Educational Magic with a K. That's the like Aleister Crowley way. All right, we'll see what it's all about.
Hey, people. I watched this video yesterday of Charlie Kirk. And, a grown man that goes to school looking for little boys, that's called a child predator. And so Charlie Kirk, you see him sitting at the table wanting to debate everybody. And he prefers to go to schools, because he knows he could find a bunch of dumb little kids there. The majority of them are gay these days. He knows he can find a debate. He won't debate a real man.
Best chances are Charlie's a closet homosexual. That big bully at school that always wanted to fight with you? He was just wanting to get his hands on you. He just wanted to get naked and wrestle with you. Charlie's probably really a Greek.
So I'm going to give y'all kids a bunch of information.
We're going to go on. Shout out to the person in the chat acknowledging the work. Yeah, if you're not on the sports tier, you're missing out. We thought the score of the Marlins-Rays might be 4-3 today. It's not quite over, but if there's one more out, it is going to be 4-3. Why do we think the score is going to be 4-3? Because it's the Battle of Florida, because Florida equals 43 like Tampa Bay Rays, and that score happens all the time with that team. And again, we teach you how to turn $1 into $100. That's what we do over here. You can nail exact scores and put it on with a couple good games, and boom! We're not gambling junkies. We're sports investors. All right, let's continue.
So you could debate Charlie when he comes to your school. In that video I watched, he picked out a little gay boy, and he tried to debate him in the Bible to show it's wrong, that a marriage is between a man and a woman. And if Charlie could read Hebrew, as he pretends to be a Jew.
I will stop for super chats. Gabriella says, Dumb Daddy for president. And if you guys don't know who Dumb Daddy is, that's one of my aliases over here. My wife, she got real mad at me. I mixed the formula with the milk to heat them up together. We had a little bit of formula and not enough breast milk. She was so mad that I mixed them together. I still, to this day, don't know what's wrong with it. But anyway, I earned me a new title for that evening, Dumb Daddy, which I found humorous. If you never had children, you both get a lot less sleep. So, you know what it is when you don't get enough sleep, people will be cranky. If you're ever a man in that situation, you just got to let your lady be cranky as ever and call you Dumb Daddy and whatever else she needs to say. I just always got to put on a smile for sweet girl. I got to be the role model over here. And usually mama snaps back into it anyway, too. But anyway, she says, please send a shout out to my daughters who are listening. Give sweet lady and sweet baby our best. Definitely. Shout out to Gabriella. Thank you very much to your mother. I'm glad she's got the family listening. Sometimes I am dumb daddy over here. Try not to emulate the bad things that I do. I remember the ladies are watching as well, but I do appreciate it. Thank you, Gabriella. And let's continue. I agree so far that this guy's saying I can't stand Charlie Kirk. I cannot stand Charlie Kirk. Let's continue.
He would know that that's pronounced a swastika. Ace, a man, and wa, swastika, his wife. A man and his wife is a swastika.
You can see it here in Genesis 6 when it's talking about and your sons and your wife. Your wife is a wastika. Ignore all the vowel points. That's bull. They just added that later. But your wife, is this K on the end. A swasta is anybody's wife, but your wife is a wastika. And the man, you can see it here in Genesis 7 too. Ace, A-I-S. Ignore all these vowel points. That's bull. A male, and his female as wasta, W-A-S-T-U. And so this his here, it actually comes from this. His and W-A-S-T-U, and his was too. When it's your, then it ends with the K, in a swastika, and his was took. And you see that come again just down here, and his female, a swastu, and his was two. And it takes two to sin, and that's what that means. And who a sign actually read that actually reads it a sign his was two, the one you're on. But they'll switch this up to whoever fits their purpose. They'll change the words throughout the Bible, and the entire Bible they do this. They omit.
I just gotta say, so far I heard what he's saying about Charlie Kirk, and he's probably right about his assumption there. I'm not sure how what he's doing right now with Hebrew fits into his initial point. I do appreciate, though, that he's trying to learn other languages, and that's kind of interesting how there's that word wastika in it. But because I don't know enough about language, and again, there are words that sound like similar words, but they really have nothing to do with each other. We have this in English as well. I'm not sure that what he's saying is actually true. It could be. It's just I need more expertise in this to have an opinion. But yeah, weird transition from Charlie Kirk to this. Well, we'll see where it goes from here. If anybody else has any other clips that are more about what we're talking about today, I would appreciate that. Send them over to GematriaEffectNews@gmail.com.
Words that just don't fit their new purpose. Then you shall delight yourself in Yahweh, and I will cause you to ride on bleep earth. What kind of earth? Well, in Moody, that's in Moody Moot. That's dead earth. And it just didn't fit, so they left it out. But they plainly say here, in Moody. In Moody means die. When I am dead, the dead earth. Make him Moody Moot, shut him up. So in a dead earth, I shall feed you with the heritage of Jacob your father.
And by the way, again, I do appreciate learning things, but also if we're trying to get, the point of what we're trying to do is to try to get people to engage with the content, right? People are watching these mega streamers like actually Charlie Kirk, right? That, again, I see this guy right here. He has 2K subs, 13 views, and already kind of see why, because it's like, how do we start with Charlie Kirk, and then why are we decoding these seemingly random things? Unless he's going to bring it all together, but so far, I'm already lost. All right, if somebody can send some clips more about the topic, I would appreciate it, but this isn't what's going to get it done already, I can tell you.
I will feed you Jacob's children. And so if you're Jewish, you think that when you call a fast, you think that means to not eat. But it's total. The fast is totally the opposite of that. A fast means to cram it in as fast as you can, and it cram, QRA, and then backwards M. The cram, WTS, cram, whatsum. Cram it in as fast as you can. And so if you were Jewish, that would be the jewels, the JOE. This is British.
Yeah, I'm already done with this. It almost seems like it was trollish to send this over. I mean, send me something that people would actually want to watch and react to. Like, how can this is not the way we want to lead it off. Whoever sent that clip, bad job. But we don't have any other entries either. So far, the reaction idea, which I said we were going to do today, not off to the best start. Yeah, he did sound a bit like a nutcase, which is probably why he has 2K subs and 13 likes. Okay. Do we have anybody out there who has seen an engaging piece of content that they feel needs to be reacted to that actually fits in remotely with the things we're talking about today? That's the one thing that I just see that other people, like the normies, right? The normies, I guess the advantage of a normie is like when they do a call-in show, the callers kind of get how to stay in the topic, say something related to the topic, send over some information related to the topic. I just feel like my community is like this way. It's just like, I don't know how in the world you could ever send me the clip you just sent me. Jesus. So far, nothing. So far, we got nobody with any reaction clips. That was the only thing sent over. Whew. Should we watch the viral stuff? Should we just put on the viral stuff for people? The things that's getting the views about Trump and Musk. Let's pull up the old YouTube here. Let's just search Trump Musk. Whoop, not with an E. And let's filter by views. See what's getting the most views. And also recently. Or actually, that doesn't work. All right. The problem with certain by this is there's older stuff too with these two guys. Let's see. Trump Musk feud. Let's put the word feud in there. CNN. Again, it's just like, why does CNN need to be? This is how YouTube changed in the last 8 years. Pretty much since everyone got to Lee in 2017, it started to go this way where all the news media filled in, and YouTube used to be like for individuals who made content who weren't on TV, but now what clogs up the feed is the media. Stephen Colbert. Late Night with Seth Meyers. Fox News. CBS News. E-News. What's this guy? Is it Jimmy Fallon? I always forget that guy's name. I think that's Jimmy Fallon. ABC News. News Nation with Cuomo. Everybody wants to hear from him. Fired from CNN. Let's see. Trump Musk row explodes as billionaire claims president named in Epstein files. BBC. How far do you have to go down just to find even content from something that's not the mainstream? I mean, this is the whole problem with YouTube now. Remember in the Event 201 simulation, they talked about how to filter out contrarian information, and they offer a number of ways, including from outright censorship to just the flood out strategy. And that's what they vote on in the Event 201 simulation. They vote on the way to control the social media is to use the flood out method by flooding it out with authoritarian sources like Inside Edition and Reuters and more CNN. My God. Yahoo Finance. We can't look at this. These are. I guess that's the BBC as well. The Hill. This is crazy. I thought we would have found some of the popular YouTubers already. And this is even making sense. 4.7K views from Newsweek. That can't be one of the most viewed things. Be like a good video for me these days to even get 4.7. Okay, this is crazier than I thought. I'm surprised. I thought we'd at least find like a BPD or a Brandon Tatum or any of these popular YouTubers. Okay, this is, wow. Brian Tyler Cohen. Okay, the first thing to come up, Cohen. Look at that schnoz. Look at the schnoz on Cohen. All right, here, let's see. This is the first thing to come up. All right, let's see what he's got.
A lot has gone down between Trump and Elon in the last 24 hours, but if you want a quick primer without having to dig into it all, here you go. So Elon had initially come out against Donald Trump's budget bill because Republicans inserted a bunch of anti-EV language in that bill. When Trump found out that Elon opposed the bill,
and wasn't that always the thing? I said that at the beginning. I was like, this is a weird marriage. The guy who hates electric cars versus Mr. Electric Car. Okay, so the whole final fallout is... oh, you know, actually one more thing I got to point out here about the actual Tesla. Again, remember how Civil Wars 119, like Nikola Tesla, were in the time of the 119th Congress? I don't think that's an accident. But hold on, okay. He's making the point that this is ultimately because in this big bloated bill, it still cut out his electric car subsidies.
He said that Elon has Trump derangement syndrome. Elon didn't like that, and he came out and said that Donald Trump wouldn't have won the 2024 election without him, to which Trump replied by threatening to cut Elon's government contracts. Elon came out after that and said that the reason that Donald Trump won't release the Epstein files is because Trump is in them, to which Steve Bannon, Trump's advisor, came out and said that Elon should be deported out of the country, and then Elon came forward and said that Donald Trump should be impeached. And that's just within the last 24 hours. But you know what they say.
So this is the kind of guy getting all the views these days. Nearly 1 million views on that, and really just nothing interesting. I mean, compare that to what I just put out. Where did this guy come from? How long has he been on YouTube for?
My name is Brian Tyler Cohen, and if you're looking for the most watched political videos when it comes to breaking news and countering disinformation, you're in the right place.
His channel was created in 2011. That doesn't mean he necessarily started creating content. Let's see. His oldest video is 8 years ago. So yeah, he hasn't been in the game nearly as long as yours truly. And he did have to earn his way up. He didn't have the greatest views from the beginning. 8 years ago, I was getting a lot better views than this. So I mean, this is how YouTube's changed. 8 years ago, I averaged easily between 50 and 100K views a video and had a lot of videos that had way more views than 100K. But yeah, this is what's happened. It's just, you know, these chosen ones.
My name is Brian Tyler Cohen.
Yeah, think about that. We just scrolled through a lot of videos and it was all mainstream news, and then he is the first thing that comes up that's not mainstream news. And was that an important clip? Did I learn anything there? No. And the sad thing is, I mean, the average dunce would be like, I don't like the numbers in numerology. But again, it's like, pay attention to what I'm showing, then come back to how much you don't like it once you realize the world is a stage and this is how they operate every day. How many more videos do we have to scroll through before we find another YouTube creator? Cohen. Look, I'm just scrolling away here. This is all mainstream news. Gee, Megyn Kelly. Okay, Megyn Kelly. I mean, Fox News forever. MK Ultra. ABC Philadelphia. Jeez, this is also why we can't get any views. If you put the word Gematria up here and search, the same thing's going to come up. My channel won't even come up. It'll still be the mainstream news. Woo! How many Bloomberg news things do we need? Can we get an actual YouTuber? Good God. The Daily Signal? I don't know what that is. The Daily Signal. Well, he's on the radio. He's on the mainstream radio, whatever the Daily Signal is. So it's not that far from the mainstream. Man, I want to see. I'm curious who the next YouTuber is that's going to come up. This is taking too long to even search. I need to rest my ears. Philip DeFranco. Who's this? Philip DeFranco. He's got a check mark. I don't know who Philip DeFranco is, but he must be big news because he's got over 500,000 views here. Let's see.
Donald Trump just explicitly threatened Elon Musk and called him crazy, and it's getting uglier by the minute, with Musk now openly tying Donald Trump to the Epstein files and co-signing a tweet that said Trump should be impeached, new bombshell updates on Luigi Mangione, and the New York City mayor's race, while local just exposed a lot about the future for the Democrats and the country as Cuomo and Mamdani went at it. We're talking about all that and much more on today's brand new Philip DeFranco show, you daily dive into the news. But first, we haven't done this in a while, but yesterday y'all took to the comments and said you can't elect a clown and then get angry when the circus comes to town is a banger-ass quote that has to be put on a shirt. Just that one comment getting over 1,000 likes, so okay, I'm calling your bluff, Big Dave. Right now at beautifulbastard.com, link in the description, you can get your "you can't elect a clown and then get angry when the circus comes to town" tee and or hoodie. And I'll even give you that sleek minimal look along with this loud and bold version to see which one.
And I've never done this to my viewers ever, just insert ads all over and promote products. All these big channels, they all do. I'm like, is this what people like watching? Is this what I need to start doing? Just make the whole thing about damn ads?
Wins. You know what? If you snag it within the first 10 hours, you can get it for $10 off. But with that said, there is a lot to talk about today, starting with this. So I was wrong. I'll admit that. Because Donald Trump and Elon Musk are now openly taking huge shots at one another. Like, this doesn't look like the end of the honeymoon phase. This looks like they went straight to divorce. And I just did not see that happening, at least for a few years. Like, when you drop over $200 million to get a guy elected, you think, okay, they're gonna be on the same page. Right now, what we're seeing is a lot of it boiling down to the fact that Musk is just not happy about Trump's big, beautiful bill and how much it'll increase America's debt. Because as we've talked about, some estimates claim that it'll go up by $3 trillion. With Musk then calling the bill a disgusting abomination and writing yesterday, this spending bill contains the largest increase in the debt ceiling in U.S. history. It is the debt slavery bill. And that, I mean, it's just a small taste of what he's been throwing out there. Musk has been nonstop posting about this for the past 24 hours. And while Trump had largely remained silent, it appears that it had gotten under his skin, with him now saying things like,
you saw a man who was very happy when he...
No, you can already tell this guy's just a normie, right? Just talking about everything like it's real, like Elon Musk's money's real, like he's not a puppet. And you see that, I mean, that's what you got to do to meet the other normies. You just got to talk about the TV like it's real, because again, the United States of America, it's the one country where the people still haven't learned that the news is nothing but bullshit. Pretty much the rest of the world knows that media is bullshit. Maybe the West in general, but especially the U.S., where we might have the dumbest populace in the history of dumb populations. Let's continue for a little bit more, but yeah, I don't feel like there's anything too interesting here.
He stood behind the Oval Desk, and even with the black eye, I said, "You want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup." But he said, "No, I don't think so," which is interesting. Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we will anymore.
with Trump then going on to add,
They picked him. I would have won Pennsylvania. I won it by a lot. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people.
one of the things that was wild is that while Trump was doing that, Elon was actually replying, writing things like, without me, Trump would have lost the election, Dems would control the House, and the Republicans would be 51-49.
And again, isn't this all annoying? And that's the kind of stuff you see too. Just everywhere like that. Oh man, he should be thankful to Musk because he probably did help deliver. It's like, no, he didn't have anything to do with delivering the election. We told you 4 years ago why it was going to be rigged for Trump. That's why, like, how do you not build up credibility when you continue to forecast the future accurately and help people see through the way the whole game is rigged? You know, why didn't everybody catch on when Trump sacrificed his ex-wife exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit nation year on the same day he said he'd run in the 60th election? And then there was the conservatives against Trump was also the story that day. 60 legal cases for why Trump shouldn't be the next president. And of course, since then, it's been nothing but indictments and legal cases, all by the numbers. And the Gematria just tells the tale. Elvin Bragg equals 60, like Donald Trump, like a million other things with the judges that have come up since then up to now. But yeah, this is just the same recycled shit that everybody else is saying. So yeah, okay, this guy's pretty much mainstream media, just covers it just like the news. Okay, all right, scrolling through. Who's going to be the next YouTuber that gets to be in the top 100 videos? Risk Reversal Media? Is that a news station or is this something for YouTube? Risk Reversal Media.
All right, welcome to the Risk Reversal Podcast. I'm Dan Nathan. I'm joined by friend of the pod, Mike Wilson, Chief U.S. Equity
Relatively
Strategist
new,
and
2021,
CIO
so post-scandemic.
Michael, welcome back to the pod. Thanks.
All right, let's get a taste of it. God, they didn't get that many views, though, but somehow they're still up here. Okay, they're not getting the greatest views, though. I don't know how they got to be up here above some of the big-name YouTubers. That's interesting. Yeah, Valuetainment's another one of the BPD things. That's right. But yeah, this is exactly the reason a lot of us can't get any views, because if you search for anything, all that you're getting, isn't it crazy, guys, how YouTube became the mainstream media? It is very annoying. It's like, don't you guys have enough controlling all the TVs and radios? Can't we just hear from some independent voices? Trading opportunities created, no doubt about it. Okay, so that's a trading thing. Yeah, this is the real reaction right here. This is the problem. YouTube only, when you search, gives you news channels. And some of these names that'll pop up in your feed, like the Brandon Tatums of the world, you don't even have to click on these people. You log on to YouTube 1 out of 10 times, they're going to show up. There's Uncle Bootlicker.
You want to share?
And see, I mean, really, even 113,000 views, and this guy's one of the more popular people on the platform. That's really not that great. I mean, my videos got over 100K views all the time 8 years ago. So, and you see why. This is why everybody's views are down. Again, because their YouTube is directing everybody to the news. This kid, the video game player that's down in Austin with Joe Rogan and Musk. Look at this guy's views. I mean, all he is just another guy that just plays video games and talks about news like it's real. Look at his views. I mean, this guy makes 20 to 40 G's a day in ad revenue from YouTube. Lefties are losing it. How did Twitch let this happen? So I tried Dune Awakening. Trump is in the Epstein files. Trump and Elon, it's over. I played Team Ninja's new game. What the F are these people doing? I watched the state of play. So all of this is in the last 24 hours. I'm losing my goddamn mind. Yeah, that's about $30,000 right there. 30 G's, just boom. Spamming nothing but bullshit. And there's nothing interesting in any of this, but yeah, again, they've made it so it's it's all news media, and then the few things that'll show up in your feed all the time. The Ben Patrick Davids of the world that just came out of nowhere. All right. I did see a couple more emails came over. Let's see what we got here. So Daniel sends over Trump Ivanka, no timestamp, so I'm assuming this is a short.
No, not
video.
too much of it. First of all, I like her.
Oh yeah, exactly. No doubt this guy's in the Epstein files. Here we go.
No, not too much of it. First of all, I like her very much. I think she's a really nice woman. I thought it was a little unusual to have politics mixed with the movies, and it's been done before, I guess, a little bit, but it was a little bit unusual to see that.
Yeah.
But I do like her. I think she's terrific.
We want to know a little bit more about you guys, so we play this game here. It's called Fave 5. I'll ask the question. Ivanka, you answer first, and then Dad, you answer also.
This is tough.
Okay, Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Yeah, and again, I mean, there's a lot of clips of Trump just saying when she's a younger girl, he's talking about how attractive she is, and if it wasn't his daughter, he'd be dating her, and gets into what a nice pair of tits she has. It's like, God, who talks about their daughter like this? This is gross. Gross. Yeah. All right. Appreciate that. That's somebody who knows how to follow the theme. Snap. Why is that? All right, YouTube's messing with me right now. Hold on, I have to fix something besides behind the scenes. YouTube's tampering around right now. They didn't like us playing the Trump clip. What is this about? Stand by. Dealing with the behind the scenes shenanigans. All right. It closed me out of my email. All right, let's see what other clips we got over here. Richard Johnson says, start this video at 1:26.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get.
Start at 1:26. This video goes for over 2 hours. Holy smokes, we're not watching all 2 hours, I'll tell you that much. All right, so this is called Hidden Mathematics, Randall Carlson, Ancient Knowledge of Space, Time, and Cosmic Cycles. Sounds interesting. I'm at a minute 27, not 26. I don't think it's going to make a difference. Here we go.
Hopefully in the next hour, hour and a half,
Maybe we need to go back just a few seconds.
are universal regardless of the spoken tongue, which one happens to have been brought up in. And hopefully in the next hour, hour and a half, I'm going to be showing you examples of this so that you can see for yourself what actually the universal language of geometry and symbolism actually means. So we're going to jump right into it here and talk about sacred numbers embedded in everyday phenomena. These are the things that we all pretty much think about and use on a daily basis without ever really pondering the fact that there's actually deep symbolism hidden within them. We measure our life in terms of days, of 24 hours, referred to as a trial.
You know, as he talks about natural numbers, I'm just reminded of the Fibonacci sequence. 34 is the 9th Fibonacci number. And all those 34s that happened yesterday with the fallout, it was 9 days before Trump's birthday. And remember, 45 is also the 9th triangular number. And Trump has that commercial from years before he became president the first time, before he became number 45, talking to Digital Sheep 11 and 9, like how he was called president-elect on 11/9, the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, when Berlin Wall equals 45. But he says to sheep number 9, he says, looking good, number 9, looking good. So yeah, 34 9th Fibonacci number, 45 9th triangular. Let's continue.
Tropical or solar day. And it turns out that 24 of these hours are 1,440 minutes. This is one of the key numbers within the ancient canon of numerical cosmology that the ancients used to basically design and create their world. The 1,440 minutes equates to 86,400 seconds. So if you just listen to these numbers, look at them, and let them kind of soak into your brain, once you've gotten into this as actually a system, a methodology of transmitting information, these numbers are actually carriers of information because each number stands for meanings beyond just the apparent ones. So we see 1,440 minutes.
Noble HSX, thank you for supporting the work. I see your super chat. Much appreciated. And don't forget, guys, this 144, very special number, right? In Jewish gematria, the word time equals 144. Number that has a square root of 12, 12 hours in the morning and the evening, 12 months, and now we tell time. We've always talked about the 1,440 minutes. Indeed. And 144 is also the 12th Fibonacci number as well, in addition to having a square root of 12.
Minutes is equal to 86,400 seconds, and a 12-hour span of time, which is usually represented on the clock, 720 minutes, which equals 43,200 seconds. So just look at those numbers. You'll think that obviously 43,200 is half of 86,400. The 1,440, we're going to counter that number again here momentarily. So these are just examples of some of the time measures, how we think about time in our particular culture. Space measure, we talk about a foot, we talk about of 12 inches, we talk about a square foot, and you'll notice that the square foot has the same repetition of digits, 144, as the 24 hours does. All we do is we tack a 0 on that. We have the number of minutes in a day. We have a cubic foot equaling 1728. I want to call your attention to the 1 square yard, which is 1,296 inches. As it turns out, we can stick a 0 on the end of that, and we have 12,960 years, which turns out to be an awesomely important span of time in terms of some of the great cycles that affect this planet, and that's what we're going to be getting to. Geometry, everybody knows that a circumference of a circle is divided into 360 degrees, and that 360 degrees of arc, because each degree is subdivided into minutes of arc, there is then 60 times 360, as it says there, 21,600. And then you'll notice that 21,600 minutes of arc equals 1,296,000 seconds of arc. That's a mighty fine subdivision of a circle that would be used mostly by astronomers to measure the motion of distant stars. But notice that number, 1,296,000, and you'll see that it's the same number, just raised by 3 orders of magnitude as the number of square inches in a square yard. Okay, now another thing you might notice about most of these numbers from 1440 to 8640, 43,200, 144, 1728, 36, 1296 is that they all Kabbalistically add up and reduce to the single digit 9. Notice that all of them. Pick any one of them, other than say.
We broke out the Kabbalistically word. I'm very much interested in this. I don't know how much some of the stuff is copyrighted, and a lot of these popular videos are. I don't want to mess up my own video by playing too much of this, but I do see that a little bit ahead he gets into 72, and I wonder if he's talking about how long it takes for the. Because I see he's got astrology table up, And again, the astrological wheel moves 1 degree every 72 years. I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to get to. But yeah, this looks like a yeah, because you can see he's got the astrology symbols up here, and then oh snap, it's going to go to an
This video right here never really existed. It got over 8 million views. It's one of the first videos.
Well,
and there's a preview of the future where nobody even watches anything that's real. It's just all AI-driven content. He's making the point that the average human lifespan is 72 years. Yeah, it's interesting. 72 does seem to be just some kind of... obviously, we know like the Templars had the rule of 72. The Jesuits are the modern-day Templars. Jesuit order equals 72. I noticed both of my parents who are 72 right now are both... I feel like they're having off years. Like they're just... It's like a battle. But... yeah, interesting. Yeah, I would like to watch a lot more of this. I'm going to drop the link for this one in the chat. This does seem like a great video to watch. Just sometimes you play too many minutes of these people's videos and then they punish you. It's like, hey, I was only trying to share your content. Yeah, if you guys want to check that out, that is the link. If you want to just search for it, if it's easier for you that way. Hidden Mathematics, Randall Carlson, Ancient Knowledge of Space, Time, and Cosmic Cycles. Remember, there very much is an organic side to the numbers as well. I think this is more about nature. And you can see this video was very well received. It's well done too. You know, it's got nice visuals. And one other advantage it has over doing what I do is it's not conspiracy related, right? A lot of people are just automatically turned off by anything conspiracy because of their cultural programming. So many people think that conspiracies never happen, which just shows you how dumb people are. It's like conspiracies happen every day. I mean, conspiracies are quite common actually. So, but yeah, it's hard to reverse the programming of our society. But yeah, I'm gonna have to let me save this one for later. Watch later. Boom. All right. Very interesting. Appreciate that. Gematria 32. Here's a veteran. He says, go to the 26 minute mark and play 2 minutes. Then go to the 59-minute mark and play 2 more minutes. All right. 26.
Hey, everybody.
All right. Epstein 2.0, digital blackmail, AI surveillance, anti-humanism, propaganda, Whitney Webb. Okay. 26. Pretty much right there.
This video was created by AI. With AI, you can create any visual you could imagine, even visuals of
founder Peter Thiel, but also by the CIA's venture capital firm In-Q-Tel. The CIA was their only client for their first 3 to 4 years, maybe longer, I forget. As a company, their engineers went to Langley, Virginia CIA headquarters every 2 weeks, having the CIA tweak and give them guidance on the development of their product, according to current and then CEO of Palantir, Alex Karp. The intended clients of Palantir were always the CIA. It's really the closest thing you can really see as a CIA front company, essentially. And then I feel like there's other examples as well. Facebook, as I've argued in my article, the military origins of Facebook, which came out in 2021, I believe.
February 4th, 2004. Again, DARPA's LifeLog ended and Facebook launched on the same day. Of course, the majority of the world writes that date 4-2, like computer and internet equal 42. Along with words like Jesuit and Freemason, and even the month of February itself. As well as Zionism, since for years he went around with that hoodie with the Star of David on the inside that said, keeping the world open and connected, not to mention his birthday is the same day as Israel's, May 14th. His is 84, Israel's is 48. All right, let's continue. Yeah, Palantir, no doubt. Another one of these front companies, very much part of the police surveillance state. I'm in complete agreement with already what I heard.
Argues that Facebook was a repurposing of this DARPA program called LifeLog because of the people involved with it early on, how it essentially mirrors LifeLog exactly, and how the same people that put Facebook on the map, like Peter Thiel, had also repurposed other DARPA programs like Total Information Awareness as private companies, which in that case is the aforementioned company Palantir. It essentially explicitly a privatized version of this Total Information Awareness surveillance dragnet that was shut down by Congress. It was previously housed by the Pentagon's DARPA. It was shut down because of a huge outcry from the media.
Do you know that really what the best thing we could do as human beings is? And it kind of sucks because all things are good and bad, and there's a lot of nice things about technology, but really the best thing we could do as human beings at this day and age is just say, you know what, we're done with computers. We're done. None of us are carrying around the phones anymore. We're not going online. We're not going on these platforms. We're going back to, you know, landline works. Go outside, meet your neighbors. Send your kids out to the park. If that doesn't happen, I'm telling you, we're doomed. We are doomed. So, yeah, remember, the internet came from the military, and it is the tool for the police surveillance state.
And also from, Congress and all sorts of advocacy groups, because they rightly pointed out it would eliminate the constitutional right to privacy for Americans. And Palantir has done that, but from the cozy operating room of the private sector. People weren't outraged by a private sector company doing it, but they were when the government was doing it. But it's a government contractor, so the government is still doing it. They just sort of have this degree of separation now between them. So
yeah, she's just nailing it. She's saying the same things I'm saying. All these companies are fronts. They are the government. That's why they're funded by the government. And then they can circumvent the Constitution because they can say they're private entities when they're really not. It's just so obvious.
Essentially, if you have someone like Epstein who's operating on behalf of intelligence services, and I would argue that Epstein, not unlike Robert Maxwell, had his hands in more than one intelligence agency pie. I don't think it's necessarily fair to pin him down with one.
All right, he said to watch 2 minutes and then go to 59, so I'm just following the instructions. It looks like this could be a great video to watch as well before school. I'm going to give this one a sub because I like it. I'm going to drop the link for this too if you want to watch more of this video. Let me drop the link. Shout out to Gematria32 who pounded payment with us. And I'll always, whenever I think of the New York trip, I'll always think of Gematria32 because he trolled me every day out there. At first I was like, is this a troll? He came out with a Fordham hoodie, and then what were you wearing the next day? Some other Jesuit University hoodie. Yale. And everywhere we went, Gematria32 rolled a big fat blunt. Never once did he offer any of it to me, though, but Sweet Lady probably would have been happy about that. But always, we'll always like Gematria32. He also calls in with great calls on the Patreon every day. Let's, and by the way, I can never smoke with any guys again because I told Sweet Lady I'd never smoke again.
You're not ready for it.
And I got to live up to it.
Strong,
but anyway.
for example, he was a career oilman, very attached to the Rockefeller family, themselves an oil baron dynasty, but also one of the longest financiers of eugenics, including the Nazi eugenics program. They financed eugenics for a very long time and have tried to finance it under different names. And ultimately, they've had an outsized influence, which is kind of ironic since they are big oil, on, environmental thought. A lot of these people, the Rockefellers, for example, have financed to a significant degree, but also other people that are sort of like mind. And the idea of this group, for example, the Club of Rome, that is very much interrelated with groups like the World Economic Forum, developed this paper called Limits to Growth in the early 70s that was featured at, if not the first, the second World Economic Forum annual meeting. And, basically makes this argument. So that's similar to the Ehrlich's population bomb argument. But in a book they published, I think in the early 90s, they said that, we basically need to make the enemy of humanity man, like have people not like humanity itself and see them as the problem. And so what you bring up there about, decreasing sperm counts and infertility, a lot of this is due to chemical contamination, for example. Among other environmental issues that are largely ignored today by the mainstream environmental movement, which focuses exclusively on...
Again, just about environmental contamination. All the birth control that goes in the toilets, that estrogen ends up back in the drinking water, and it has a lot to do with why boys are becoming a lot more effeminate. I knew somebody who worked work's not the right word. He was a member of the scientific community at University of Washington and was in the lab every day. I guess he is working. He's working in the lab every day doing studies. He was a graduate student, and that was a project that they were working on and keeping tabs on and doing research on. A lot of estrogen in our drinking water that wasn't there decades ago before everyone was pretty much on birth control. Even through the woman's body, when she pees, the extra estrogen ends up in the water. There's a reason men have become a lot more effeminate.
Carbon, and not on necessarily the carbon emissions of billionaires, but focuses on the carbon emissions of regular people, which I think is very telling. And there's a very it's kind of disconcerting to me that there's not really a lot of environmental movements really anymore around deforestation, ocean and riverway pollution, all the Superfund sites in the U.S. that are leaking all sort of toxic stuff into residential communities and also all over like military bases and veterans.
like Musk's new supercomputer plant in Memphis, predominantly black community that's, no doubt meant to help exterminate people in that community.
There's no interest in any of this stuff from mainstream environmental organizations.
The same guy who did the SS salute, which a lot of people want to downplay. And isn't it funny how the same people who were mad about the SS salute a few months ago, now they're online like cheering on Elon Musk? This is the United States of amnesia. People can't even remember what happened in January.
It's all focused on carbon footprints and things like that. And the people that, created the global footprint, who now run this NGO called the Global Footprint Network, their board has a very extensive overlap with this previously mentioned Club of Rome group. And the Club of Rome comes out of this group called Adela that was previously, it was really about these Western oligarchs, mainly in Europe, but also to a lesser extent the United States, sort of going into Latin America and king-making their corporate landscapes, deciding who the winners and losers in the private sector in Latin America would become, and basically...
There's a book written about this called Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and it is focused on, if you guys look into Chile's 9/11, for example. If you don't know about Chile's 9/11, the U.S. went in there and killed their leader because they wanted to bring somebody in who was more in line with the corporate ideals of what's going on in this nation. And that's why when everyone complains about all this immigration from Latin America, well, it's your same government that destroyed these nations and took away their own, leaders that had the interest of their nations, that might have built up better nations, that would have kept people living in those nations. It was your government that went in and destroyed these nations so that corporations could take advantage. Again, things like NAFTA that eventually got passed that destroyed small farmers in Latin America. That's what's annoying about everybody is they argue with no real knowledge. Well, I don't want them here. This is America. It's like, okay, but you realize this didn't happen overnight. There's a reason this is happening, and these same politicians you're entrusting to solve the problems are the same ones that created the problems. So does that make any sense? Of course it doesn't make any sense. This must be Whitney Webb, huh? I've heard her name a lot. This must be Whitney. I'm guessing this woman here is Whitney Webb. I've heard her name a lot, and, it's a shame that I haven't checked her out before. I like her. She seems very well researched. She needs some gematria in her life. Take those observations to the next level. All right, good one, Gematria 32. Hassan says, Saluminati. He says, I don't know if you heard of him. Of course I have. He shouted out Gematria after Kobe died and told everybody to check out Gematria. And then his poor brother got killed not too long after, seemingly by the numbers. All right, he says this is a Saluminati Gematria 1-minute clip.
One of the things that
Well, this isn't on his channel because it would have got a lot of views. Somebody else put this up. But yeah, again, he brought a lot of people to this knowledge after Kobe died. He told people about me and this work, and he brought a lot of people to it. And he's the only person who ever had more than 1 million subs on this platform who shouted out my work. So, anyway, let's check out his Learn Gematria clip. That's what he'd always say, Learn Gematria.
One of the things that I told y'all when Kobe Bryant passed away, you need to learn Gematria. When it has something to do with deaths, learn Gematria. Letters, numbers, rituals. Most of these celebrities don't be dead. And when you learn Gematria, nigga, you would be watching the NBA playoffs and they'll show you a little quick highlight or some stats of a...
Again, just about Learn Gematria. I really think for all the black guys out there, black ladies, I think you guys need to stop using that word that ends with the soft sound, Nigga. Run the Gematria on that. It equals 38, like death, like murder, like killing, like RIP, like rapper, like all the dead rappers in 38 rituals. Sadly, his brother was killed in a 38 ritual. They even put that number on the continent of Africa. Africa equals 38. Again, spells and spelling, I think that word is no good. But we still appreciate that he's getting out the knowledge. Don't forget that Gematria equals 38, just like English, like energy, like Pentagon, the nation's killing department on the 38th parallel that deployed a lot of black men to die in Vietnam on March 8th. Again, like all the dead rappers connected to 38.
Another player. If you learn how to break down Gematria, letters, numbers, ABC as easy as 1, 2, 3. When you learn this shit, you got the keys to the universe. You have now mastered the ability to read through the deception that they be giving us on all of these platforms. Numbers, letters, all the numbers be attached to deaths. Nigga have 42 points and 10 assists. If you add those letters and numbers up, 42 equals nigga in Gematria.
That's with the ER ending. The A ending, which is the friendly way, is the one with 38. I think they're both tough. Here we go.
Another thing, I ain't gonna really get too deep in that. You need to learn Gematria. When I was looking up Gematria with Kevin Samuels, the deaths, the timing of his deaths, the year he was born, the interviews he did with Future, all of this shit is attached to a ritual. I have seen Kevin Samuels doing this a lot. Is he a Freemason? Who the fuck knows? All these niggas be Freemasons.
And by the way, Trump was doing that through that whole press conference where he was talking about how him and his daughter have sex in common. Can you imagine us even saying that? What do you have in common with your daughter? Sex? Jesus. People voted for this guy. It is gross. But yeah, we're definitely aware of Soluminati. And like I said, only person who ever had more than 1 million subs who promoted the work. And he did help a lot of people find this work after Kobe's death by doing that. So, and then sadly, you know, what happened to his brother. And, you know, what's his face? Call Me Kinfolk. He found out about this knowledge through Soluminati's video. And then when his brother died, Call Me Kinfolk accused Soluminati of sacrificing his brother. And I thought that was pretty messed up because it's like, I don't think he would do that. Why would he kill his brother in a Gematria ritual when he's helped promote this knowledge to a lot of people? He might have been punished, though. He might have been punished, and they might have, you know, that's more how I interpret it. But yeah. Him accusing Soluminati killing his brother was big for the growth on his channel, too, which I didn't think that was right. Somebody just sent over a link here with nothing. Let me see. Make sure that we're not getting some, like, porn bomb or something.
Sky-high prices are everywhere. But your first exam and x-ray at Aspen Dental is free for new patients without...
All right. 16 minutes, 44 seconds. Video. They're doing Roman numerals on a piece of paper. I don't know. It could be interesting, but again, Andrea, if you want me to watch that clip, send back over the timestamp because I don't got time to play entire videos. Yeah, make sure you say a timestamp. Like, Gematria 32 did a great job. He wanted 2 things out of that video. It looked like there was probably more than 2 things out of that video worth watching, but okay, we're all caught up on the reactions. And if you guys want to send a video for me to check out, GematriaEffectNews@gmail.com. It's actually on the screen just below me. It's next to the word Zelle. So I'll open up the phone line as well. If you guys want to call in, it is that 509 number. And I'm just going to do it, rather than play it through the system, I'm just going to do it the way where I just hold the speaker up to the mic, because I bought these headphones because I heard they were the most comfortable and you can wear them all day in the studio without your ears hurting. I think the problem is if you have big ears, there's no such thing as a comfortable pair of headphones. I have pretty big ears. When I was a kid, my ears were the same size. So I grew into them so they don't look as big as they used to be. But when I was like 5 years old, my ears were the same size. Kids would be like, you look like Dumbo. Whatever, I still look better than you. Let me see here. All right, yeah, if you guys want to call in, or if you want to call in and direct me to a video you saw, if you know the clip, that's fine too. If you want to talk about the big distraction, the Musk versus Trump feud, something an angle you have on it that I'm overlooking, that would be great as well. The big 88 story out of Maryland. Remember, Maryland equals 88. This guy's name equals 88. The judge equals 88. Trump 88. The death of the Pope at 88. Sync with Trump. So this guy, breaking news, he's being sent back. And where are we? We're June 6th, D-Day. 157th day of the year. Today's 137 days after they took office, or the 138th day of the administration. Donald Trump's 138. I forget if there's anything else in this guy's name. 88, the big Trump number. 119, like the 119th Congress. Donald's also 119 in Jewish Gematria. Let me see. When did this story first break? Saying he entered illegally in 2011. That's right. We had a U.S. politician supposedly flying down to El Salvador to meet with this man. It's like, these politicians haven't done a single thing for anybody in their district. They're flying out to El Salvador, please. It was March 31st that it was acknowledged that he'd been deported, pulled over on March 12th. Remember, Trump got 312 electoral college votes, then the Pope died on the 312th day of his age. All right, so March 12th when the trouble began. 19 days later, admitted to deporting. What's up, 908?
Hey, Zach, I'm getting to the stream late, but I just had a question. If you happen to see Mountainhead on HBO yet?
I think I saw an advertisement that it's like about tech billionaires or something.
Yeah, well, I just thought it was very apropos with this feud with Musk and Trump. It released, I think, on June 1st, and basically, Steve Carell is like, it's the kind of, my take on it is it's the PayPal mafia. That Steve Carell, like the leader of the group, is playing Peter Thiel, and that this younger kind of like student he almost has is playing Elon Musk. He's played by Corey Michael Smith. And there's two kind of lesser guys. I haven't figured out who I think they are in the PayPal Mafia, but the movie kind of takes place where one of the people, he kind of unknowingly reveals he's not an accelerationist. And that term kind of ties back to this dark enlightenment in Curtis Yarvin, which is kind of like the house philosophers of this new kind of fake right. And in the movie, once Steve Carell, I think is Peter Thiel, discovers that he's not an accelerationist, he's not going to be able to take this AI, mix it with this other company, and his whole goal is to be a transhumanist because he has this cancer that's going to kill him in 5 years. He decides to go like vengeful and murderous, and the two other characters that are not kind of like pressing the brakes on this stuff, they have this plot to kill this guy and take over his company. So, like I said, I have a decode I have to do myself. I haven't got to it yet, but I just wanted to give you that quick info. I think very apropos to the current events and very predictive.
All right, so you're saying check it out when I get some time.
Yeah, and I'll be back with my own decode, but I only just watched part of it last night. So.
All right, I'll check it out if I get a chance. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good day, Zach.
All right, thanks, man. All right, somebody else was trying to call in. I went to answer and it just disappeared. Yeah, if you were just trying to call in and I didn't pick up, call back. I don't know what happened. That was weird. I think it was 562 773. Both of you guys tried to call in. Yeah, call back. The line is open. Again, that call board thing that I had for a while, it was just too inconsistent, so I just went back to the phone. President Trump on billboards all over Syria. Well, that figures because Syria is a CIA puppet state. And don't forget that Donald John Trump does equal CIA. Don't forget it. What's up, 562?
Yeah, hey, so you're trying to resurrect your channel, right?
Well, I don't know if it's possible based on the algorithm, but what's up?
Of course it's possible, bro. Of course. You're a fucking super nice guy. You're a smart guy. You're not as good are, but you are good looking.
Oh, okay.
I'm not gay, by the way.
What's the point you're trying to make here? Go ahead.
No, what? Okay, so but I'm gonna have to call you back because I have to get out of the car and do something real quick. I'll call you back in like
God. Is that a troll? Is that a gay troll? Come on, man. We did have two other people who were trying to call in who the line is open. So Twitter deleted my account on the 191st day of my age. Let me see. My birthday leaves 163 days left in the year on the 27th. Yeah, it would have been 190 days later or the 191st day of my age. Yeah, that is true. All right, let me check in with the chat. RK9 says, I like the way you convert numbers into simple, plain English. I'm good at math, but it's easy for others to understand. It was 2 years ago on this day, June 6, 2023, when the air quality contaminated. It depends on where you were, man. Yeah, all the crazy weather and fires and a lot of contaminated air. Right now, they're dealing with it all in the Midwest from the smoke from Canada. This new trend of Canadian wildfires earlier in the year is wild. You don't think of, relatively cooler Canada as wildfire country. And we know that these fires are being set for the sake of agenda. Yeah, well, one of these days, I mean, there are a lot of great things about technology, but you just, for anyone who's old enough, you just see what's happened to humanity in the age of, technological dominance. Again, people on all kinds of antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, child obesity, the surveillance state. And again, propaganda was always a thing, but it's never been worse. And it's so immediate because everybody has a screen attached to their body for the most part, because almost all of us have these smartphones. And I did try to resist the smartphone. I saw the downside of it from the beginning. The things came out, in 2007? I finally got a smartphone when I started my green ganja business because it was very helpful for the business. And yeah, so had that not happened, I might have continued to resist the smartphone. What's up, 813?
Hey, Zach, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. How are you?
Hey, pretty good, man. I brought you this in one of your casts a few weeks ago, but as far as the movie Zodiac, I want to check this one out. About 52 minutes into it, Jake Gyllenhaal's character goes into a book he has, and he's talking about codes, and he says it's as simple as A=1, B=2, C=3, as if it was like Boy Scout information. And he goes on from that point to kind of elaborate on a lot of things that are relevant to what you do on a day-to-day basis. But just another indicator of where they slipped in information in the movies.
Well, again, that movie's about the Zodiac Killer, another unsolved mystery in history. And if you look at a lot of the important dates for the Zodiac Killer, the dates should pop out to you right away. Those recurring dates that just come up again and again in history. So, yeah.
We'll check that movie stamp out at about 52 minutes on, I'm on Tappa. Tuma.tv, but
I can't show. YouTube's technology detects if it's a movie and makes the screen black, so there's no way I can show any kind of movie through YouTube. Their technology is too smart.
Well, if everybody just watches it about 52 minutes in, you'll see some of your information right there, plain as day.
Appreciate that. 52 minutes into Zodiac, the movie about the Zodiac Killer. All right, appreciate that. Thank you.
That's right.
All right,
Pretty good movie too. See you, man.
Yeah, thank you. While we wait on the next call, I'm just going to pull it. I covered the Zodiac Killer years ago. It's probably been a decade since I talked about it, but look at these dates. And the Zodiac Killer used a cipher. First date up, June 4th, right? June 4th. 6-4, kill 64, can be written 4-6, like sacrifice. October 30th, the day before Halloween, that's the day leaving 62 days left in the year. Sacrifice in reverse is 62. And remember, the word Torah is 62. Sacrifice is 62 and 46. In the Torah in Genesis 46, it's about sacrifice. December 20th, 68, just before Christmas. That one, not quite as clear. There's interesting things about the date. The whole satanic thing. Satanic has that 122 connection, like San Francisco, the city or the church founded in San Francisco on the 122nd Meridian West. July 4th, 7-4. Are you kidding me? Killing 74. 3 of the first 5 U.S. presidents died on 7-4. Zodiac first letter sent out. Look at the dates, you guys. Ignatius Loyola feast date, the anniversary of the Jesuit founder dying, through August 4th when Jesuit equals 84, like the Jesuit order. I'm sure that's a coincidence. Big time Jesuit date. And then the next killing after the letters is on the day in history that the Jesuits are recognized by the Roman Catholic Church, September 27th. San Francisco, October 11th. I don't know off the top what would be so significant about that day. I went into a greater detailed look at a lot of this stuff a long time ago. I'd have to go back and find my notes. And I know it's one of the posts that Google took down. I used to have a long post on the Zodiac Killer. It's not on my site like it used to be. October 13th is the day leaving 79 days left in the year. Murder is 79, so is Society of Jesus, another one of the big letters that day. November 8th, key day, 118. As we know, death and homicide, 118 in Jewish Gematria. March 22nd. Do I need to talk about 322? March 22nd. 420. It's Adolf's birthday. It's always a day of high ritual. It's one day after Ignatius Loyola Day. You almost do wonder why they skipped April 19th. April 28th comes up in this period, the 118th day of the year. June 26th, Jesus Hominum Salvator, Jesuit motto. I think the 247 sequence is important because that's how many months are in the moon cycle, 247 months. 13 times 19, the moon's 19-year cycle, 13 lunar months. July 26th is a important date to New York, but I'm not so sure about California. But yeah, just on the surface, a lot of these dates scream out. More letters sent between October 5th and March 22nd. The final letter sent on July 8th in 74. Jesuit 78. So, yeah, I think honestly in the beginning, one of the things that really stood out to me about Jesuits was just looking into these dates and just seeing the Jesuit occurrence. I was like, oh, this day's important to the Jesuits. That day's important to the Jesuits. Again, the Jesuits gave us the calendar and the language, and they synced up the zodiac. I have a chapter on this in my first book, Letters and Numbers, about just the calendar, the language, and the zodiac. And again, it's the Catholic Church that put the system together. And think about how a lot of this is in the Bay Area, right? It's one of the most Jesuit areas in the country because you got 2 Jesuit universities in the Bay Area. There's only 27 remaining Jesuit universities. And there's also one affiliated Jesuit university, which is a black college. So that's why some people say there's 28 Jesuit universities. There's really only truly 27 Jesuit universities and one affiliated. At the pinnacle, there were 54 Jesuit universities in the U.S., like Jesuit Order equals 54, like John Carroll established the first one at age 54, and his name also equals 54. And of course, sun equals 54, and the zodiac's dictated by the sun. And the Jesuit headquarters is the Church of the Jesuit. Yeah, these unsolved mysteries. You think you kill that many people, you'd get found out. I think at the end of the day, a lot of these unsolved murder mysteries, Jack the Ripper Jack the Ripper seems to be totally connected to the royal family. Remember the recent killings on King's Road, and in case you guys don't know about that, again, on King Charles' 74th birthday, killing 74. Moscow is where University of Idaho is, where the killings were on King's Road. And God, what's University of Virginia, the Cavaliers. Cavaliers are those who fought for King Charles. What's the name of the town that it's in? Charlottesville. I don't think Charlottesville is it that I was thinking of. I might be wrong about that part. Yeah, the Charlottesville doesn't have the connection. Or does it? No. But yeah, on the King's 74th birthday, and don't forget things like London is 74, and English is 74, and Gematria is 74, and Energy is 74, and again, Killing, and Gematria, the killing name. But on the King's 74th birthday, King Charles, you had the two stories break on his birthday. The killings had reportedly happened the day before, but it wasn't in the news until his 74th birthday. The killings on King's Road. And they said the last phone calls from those girls who got killed in Idaho, they killed a man named Jack several times. And, hold on, let me just pull this up. I want you to see how the last Jack the Ripper killings were synced with Jack the Ripper. Hold on. Here we go. King Charles' birthday is November 14th. Again, if you go back and look, though, the news of the killings at University of Virginia, the football players, and at University of Idaho on Kings Road, the news did not break. And both stories broke on November 14th, King Charles' 74th birthday. But the last killing by Jack the Ripper was November 9th, 1888, a 25-year-old. Notice the overlap with London and Moscow. That's where University of Idaho is, Moscow, Idaho. And King Charles is the first English monarch of Russian ancestry, for the record, too, with what's going on over there with Russia and Ukraine. But you see the overlap with London and Moscow. Same numbers, just in reverse. Jack has that connection as well. The victims in Idaho supposedly called a man named Jack several times. Jack also has the 29 and 25, 83 like murder. And oh, the Virginia Cavaliers were actually killed in Chesapeake. There was a 74 connection. Okay, I thought there was. The Virginia Cavaliers football players were killed in Chesapeake. Okay. But here it is. From the last Jack the Ripper killings to the killings on Kings Road, Idaho, 134 years later. King Charles III, 134. And then I forget, there was another weird story out of the UK where a woman was found in the river, and it was like something that happened years earlier, and the town she was killed in was a 74 town as well, and it was also synced with King Charles. I forget if it was like 74 days after he took the throne or something like that. But yeah, there's a book written from years ago about how the Jack the Ripper killings point back to the royal family. So you take research like that in a book that already exists, and you look at something like this, and you're like, I think they were trying to tell you that Jack the Ripper was definitely connected to the royal family. And the thing about Jack the Ripper is they said, you know, he was very advanced. He was obviously someone trained in human anatomy. You know, he knew how to gut a person, and he knew a person's innards. And in that time, not a lot of people had that level of education about the human body. Even, you know, the whole medical world was light years behind where it is now. That said, people still were a lot healthier and had a lot less disease because they actually ate food from nature rather than all this processed crap. But and And that's another point too, just why we need to go back to the way we used to be. We just need to go, all this technological stuff has made a lot of cool, convenient, fun things in our life, but the further we've gotten away from nature, just the more problems we've created, and it doesn't seem that, well, I was gonna say, it doesn't seem like technology can keep up with the problems, but maybe that's not exactly true. It's more like the people at the top, they want us sick and ill because it's a highly profitable scheme. Okay, let me see if we got any more emails for things to check out here. React video. I'm allowed to rob you. All right, let me see. You guys aren't giving me timestamps. If it's this video is 10 minutes. Oh, it's okay. Here's Larkin Rose. I do like a lot of the things Larkin Rose does, but he's another person who kind of validates the lies. He treats Elon Musk, for example, like he's a legit person and he's not some puppet on the world stage. That kind of stuff bothers me. Larkin Rose, I did a video with his name in the title addressing what he said about weather warfare because he acted like it was a total nonsensical conspiracy theory based in nothing. He never did any response, and he asked people to call him out for it if it's not true, and I did, and he never said anything afterwards. When I leave comments in his videos, he doesn't respond. So I'll play this, and again, all things good and bad. Larkin Rose, I'd say he's more good than bad, but I don't really trust him. Here, we can watch some of his video.
Warning, this video contains ideas which are not government approved.
Hello, my name is Larkin Rose, and like a lot of people these days, I'm fairly strapped for cash. But
Let me know if this is quiet on your end. This video is kind of quiet, and I can't turn it up more.
I'm allowed to rob you. Having to earn money is just too inconvenient, so I just gave myself permission to rob you. So I'll be by your house around, let's say, noon tomorrow to see which of your stuff I want to take. Now, this isn't just a threat. I'm not just saying I'm going to rob you. I, by writing this down, gave myself the moral right to rob you. So maybe I should have done it like this. I hereby grant to myself the absolute moral right to steal your stuff. So since I just gave myself the moral right to take your stuff, I'm sure when I show up, you'll give me a warm welcome. And in case you think I can't give to myself the right to rob you, some friends of mine helped me out with this one. They signed this one, so it isn't just me now. A lot of people have given me the right to rob you. And in case you weren't impressed with these sort of simple printouts, my friends and I had a very formal meeting and put together this somewhat verbose but very official-looking document. You can read all the details if you really want, but the long and short of it is, now I'm allowed to rob you. So this document makes it all legit. I now have moral permission to rob you. And since I'm sure you're a fine, upstanding citizen, I'm sure you're going to cooperate when I show up tomorrow. So if you could have your valuables all laid out by noon tomorrow so I could see which of your stuff I want to take, that would be good. And then we can... What? Why are you giving me that look? Yeah, surely you don't doubt that this gives me the right to rob you. Surely you're not questioning the legitimacy of this document. Surely you wouldn't...
For people not familiar with Larkin Rose, he does stick to his message that essentially, government and taxation is theft. And I do think a lot of it is. You could argue in a more perfect world, you could have a form of government and a fair amount of taxation to maintain. For example, here, let me make a point about where in a more fair world, what I wish government wasn't this corrupt thing where, again, ultimately power does corrupt. If we had a legit government right now, something I would like to see government do is take over all of these internet companies, and in a way they already are the government, right? But just actually make it plain as day that they're the government and say that they're public utilities, and then they have to abide by the Constitution. There's no more censorship on any of these social media platforms because the First Amendment is protected. And in a way, I feel like that should happen. I feel like these American companies that have totally undermined the First and Second Amendment and essentially the two things that the country's for, because, again, all these big tech platforms hate free speech and the Second Amendment. But yeah, again, you can't look to our government to solve the problems because it's about the most corrupt entity in the world. And yeah, the way they collect our money and overtax us and the things they spend it on, the way we're lied to, yeah, it's so... I largely agree with the sentiment, but there is a part of me that thinks, is there a way we could demolish what we do have? And could we create, like I said, create a new constitution that's just one page of simple rules? And one of the rules on there etched in stone would be you never have to pay taxes on your income. The only form of taxation that is allowed is taxes on sales tax. I feel like that's the only kind of tax that should ever exist. You shouldn't have to pay property taxes because then you never really own anything. It's like I have to pay over $5,000 a year property taxes for this house. Break that down. That's over, it's almost $500 a month. And in some cities, it's a lot worse. If this house was in Portland, Oregon, it'd be like $15,000 a year. Over $1,000 a month in property taxes? I worked my ass off to pay off the house and the loans and all this. Now I still have to pay over $1,000 a month in property taxes. This is insane. And then look at the people of Portland. They're paying all this crazy money in Portland property taxes. And then what's going on in their city? The police have allowed Antifa to tear the whole thing to the ground, and it's not safe to go down there. I mean, you guys saw what happened to me. I got bear sprayed in the face, handing out books to Antifa. Yeah, so that's why government's a joke. So, but anyway, here, we'll continue.
Still claim that I don't have the right to rob you. I do. See, it says so right there. What, you don't think this is good enough? You don't think that this is binding on you? You don't think that this gives me the right to rob you? Let me show you something. This is a copy of the United States Constitution. And what it says, among other things, is that the Congress...
I already know what his whole thing's about. That just taxes are bullshit. And I mostly agree with him. But at the same time, it's like, okay, if we just had to pay minimal taxes that were fair to maintain quality roads, and that's the thing too, we pay all this money in taxes and our roads are all full of potholes. And roads don't cost that much to maintain. For example, in Saudi Arabia, they pay almost no taxes, and anybody who's gone over there will tell you they have a lot better roads than us. So, I mean, think about that. They're not paying taxes over there. Of course, it's a different situation. You have a super rich family from pretty much controlling the oil of the world, but they take care of the roads for them. It doesn't cost the people $1 gazillion to have roads, and their roads are better than ours. But again, what do we need? We need roads. We need sewer. We need energy. I think a very limited tax rate, very limited, can easily maintain these with people not having to pay like the average American does. What's the average American pay in taxes when you add up the income tax, the property tax, the sales tax, the tax on your cable, your phone, the million other things you're buying? It probably adds up to close to half of the money you make in the year. In some places, it might be worse than half. That's a lot. Yeah, imagine that on average, if we broke it down to maybe we pay 10% of the money we make in a year to taxes, and it's mostly through sales tax, and that is used to maintain the bare essentials. And again, the crazy amount that we spend on schools, why? Like I say, these nations like India, they spend nothing on their schools. They produce way smarter people. That's why all the Indians are in big tech, getting all the good jobs, and the average American's not smart enough to work there. So again, if we have less of a pool of taxes, we just figure out how to be more efficient with our money. We don't have so much money to just send out to this white nation over here and this white nation over here while bombing this brown nation over here for God knows what reason, so that I guess Lockheed and Halliburton and all them can have a higher return on investment for their investors. Yeah, that's why we have crony capitalism here and just the siphoning of people's wealth and it being redistributed to the favored parties. Anyway, yeah, you guys can check out Larkin Rose. I mostly like him, but like I said, I'm super suspicious of him because of what he did last year. If you guys were seeing the work that I did where we pretty much called out the hurricane season dead on the money before it happened, and now it was all going to be synced with The Rock, the former Miami Hurricane, as crazy as that might sound, because he has a 5-2 birthday and was 52 years old last year when hurricane equals 52, and the first act of weather warfare was admitted to in 52. If you missed the 2 major hurricanes that did crazy property damage, go back and revisit my work on how perfectly coordinated it was with not only The Rock, the former Miami Hurricane, but last year's Miami Hurricane, who came over from Washington State, Cam Ward, who was now the #1 pick of the draft. It's really undeniable, as crazy as it might sound, but then you have people like Larkin Rose at the same time going, oh yeah, weather warfare. Oh yeah, that sounds... It's just like, dude, are you really mocking weather warfare in 2025, you fucking moron? So anyway, yeah, I got to call him that too, because he is. But I do agree with him on taxes. All right. Let's see. Andrea says, go to 1 minute and 5 seconds. And they said, sorry, I just smoked a mean blunt and sent you the wrong video. That can be the downside, all things good and bad. All right, go to 1 minute and 5 seconds. You didn't tell me how long to watch for, but here, we'll go to 1 minute and 5 seconds and we'll see how long we need to watch for. All right, I'm going to start a second early.
Of 9/11 in Roman numerals. Now, if I were to just draw a vertical line straight through the middle there, is that my friend coming? Hey! Oh, he's not coming. Wait, still going. Okay. Now we've got X on top. There's a saying that they use. It's an old Hermetic saying, as above, so below. And when I'm referring to they, what I call they is actually the elite, the global elite. So just above that line, we've now got a 1, and see that? We've got a V. See that V there? And 1V. V is actually 5 in Roman numerals, so this is representing 4. And we've got a V1. Now, this is like a reflection, a water reflection maybe, a mirror reflection. So we've got the 1 in the upside down V, but we flip it around the right way, because it's as above, so below. We've got a 4 there, and we've got a V1.
Yeah, I don't know. Give me more context in the email. I know the IXXI thing, but I don't know where that one's going either right now. I'd rather have things that are more close to the topic of what we're on. So enjoy your blunt. I don't think that's the right video for today. Give me something that people are actually interested in that would make more people want to engage, because that wasn't it. Somebody sent a screen recording. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this up based on my setup right now. Let me see something here. It's a TikTok video. We're just going to have to listen to this one. I'm just going to play it. You're not going to see the visual, but I'm going to let it play here. And, whoops, what did I just do? Snap. All right, here we go.
What if I told you the United States government has been legally controlling media since 2012, and that your media sources are not unbiased? You don't have to take my word for it. Take the word of the government. Go to congress.gov. Look up Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. This act came into play during the Obama administration, and it amended the Information and Educational Act of 1948 and the Foreign Relations Authorization Act. This now allows the government to control what information is provided through publications, press, radio, motion pictures, the internet, social media, and education, and allows the government to fund media sources to influence public opinion and push propaganda. And it gives them the ability to control what information the public is exposed to. Don't believe me? Look it up. You have the internet. I challenge you. Congress.gov.
Well, it's been going on a lot longer than 2012. She's probably partisan and, oh, Obama. Yeah. Of course, George W. Bush referenced it, and it was created in 48, like Smith-Mundt Act equals 48, but she's halfway there. She's halfway there. I'm sure she's another one of those people that didn't like a black president. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, people should know about the Smith-Mundt Act, though, but yeah, 2012 is not when it started. All right. Everett Barden says, how about a little George Clinton? Sure. I'm pretty sure everyone's probably going to have seen this clip. I think everyone's seen the George Carlin clips. But why not?
90s brunch.
All right, I gotta get this ad off. These people are dancing all over the Masonic checkerboard floor here in this ad. Good God, how long is this ad? Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to that too, because it's just like you see these YouTube panel discussions. People just want to go on there and yell and scream and call each other names, and then God forbid anybody come on and say anything intelligent. Nobody wants to hear that. People just want to fight. Maybe that's why people cheer on when their tax dollars are mostly spent on military and warfare, and they don't want to spend on anything that might actually help out a person. Alex says, I have a very long video about the Jesuit order. There's no timestamp. I want to show you, but can you just watch it on your own time or show bits in the chat? Let me see. Is it the one with all the quotes about the Jesuits here? I think I have seen this before. I recognize that music.
In June of 1864, the war between the states was entering its final year, and one of the main thoughts that occupied President Abraham Lincoln's mind was the part played by Rome in the war. Lincoln said repeatedly, "This war would never have been possible without the sinister influence of the Jesuits. We owe it to popery that we now see our land reddened with the blood of her noblest sons." This seems to be a strange statement by President Lincoln, considering what is taught today about the war between the states. Nothing is ever mentioned of a religious element in the war, or that the Pope and the Jesuit order were intimately involved. But Lincoln was not the only voice raised in opposition to the Pope's meddling in the affairs of this country at that time. Samuel Morse, the inventor of Morse code, traveled to Europe and Rome in 1830 to do his own investigation into the conspiracies hatched against America. After returning home to the United States, Morse wrote 2 books warning Americans of the threat from Rome. Morse would continue sounding the alarm throughout the 1800s and went to discuss the situation with Lincoln after his inauguration.
Samuel Morse, of course, is the inventor of Morse code that was used for many, many years. And Samuel Morse wrote a book called Foreign Conspiracies Against the Liberties of the United States. It was published in 1835. And he shows in that book that the Holy Alliance and the Loophole Foundation out of Austria, controlled by the Jesuits, and the Jesuits themselves were the agents to overthrow the liberty.
Remember, Austria is where Small Mustache Man comes out of. And, of course, he modeled the SS after the Jesuits.
Of the United States, the Federal Republic of the United States, and to replace it with a papal centralized.
Austria also has everything to do with World War I, Franz Ferdinand and all that.
Government as the Vatican is run.
And don't forget, Woodrow Wilson established the League of Nations and the Federal Reserve when he was 56. And the next thing you know, the world wars are happening and we're involved. Of course, 56, that calling card of the Jesuits, and the Jesuits are the modern-day Templars, and the Templars are the original bankers and warmongers, and there's this tight link with banking and military, and it does all lead back to Rome, and all these dopes out here saying small hat this, small hat that. You're looking at the sideshow.
But today, one looks around us to see U.S. presidents and congressmen and women groveling before the Pope. Lincoln's words would seem ironic. Consider this also. In April 2008, the President of the United States, George W. Bush, rushed out to meet the Pope at his plane. Does this not seem to be odd behavior? For the first time in history, a U.S. president went out to meet a religious leader, or for that matter, any leader, upon his entry into the U.S.
No president in the entire history of the United States has ever greeted a foreign diplomat like that, ever. They wait until they're brought into Washington, so they don't go out on the tarmac. This is a first.
What makes this even more egregious is that the current Pope is a former head of the Office of Inquisition and a former member of the Nazi Party in his youth.
You know, the Cardinal Ratzinger was the Grand Inquisitor of the Vatican before he became Pope Benedict. You're aware of that. I assume other people are not aware of that. For a Jew, the Inquisition has such awful, awful memories, and we are inviting the head of the Inquisition to the Jewish state. I gave a lecture yesterday, and these are the points that I brought up. You don't invite the Grand Inquisitor to Israel. It's that simple.
How did we go from a nation on the alert against the Pope and the Jesuits' desire to bring America down to one of accepting them as friends? Simply put, we have sold out. It has not gone unnoticed that several Protestant presidents have attended Mass and taken communion at Catholic churches. Since one cannot take communion at a Roman Catholic service if one is not Catholic, several presidents have misled their supporters into thinking they are Protestant when they are not. Furthermore, those in power are often Roman Catholics outright, so it is expected that they will obey orders from the Pope. From U.S. presidents to kings and queens to religious leaders throughout the world, those in power meet the Pope and bow down to him.
Don't forget when Pope Francis came to the U.S. in 2015, he spoke at the White House on the 266th day of the year as the 266th Pope, and the Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator equals 266. And yeah, it was like the world stopped for him, just like when he died, it was like the world stopped for him. And yeah, again, it amazes me how many people do not know that the calendar we're on is named after the Pope or that it came from a Jesuit priest. It's like they say, those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. The average American has no idea that this nation was largely created by people who were trying to escape the tyranny of the Catholic Church in Europe. You just saw the little pimple-faced loser, Nick Fuentes, debate the kid that looks like he's 10 years old, Dean Withers. And the debate was if the Catholic Church should run the United States of America. That's what Nick Fuentes, the little Catholic pimple-faced kid, was arguing in favor of. And, you know, the Dean Withers kid, I mean, he didn't know anything about anything. It's just like, this is an easy argument to destroy. How about just going to the reason this nation was created in the first place? It was largely to counter the Catholic Church. But that kid who does know a lot about current political issues seemingly didn't know anything about history. And yeah, and this is what YouTube's promoting to the top of the pile. You know, now people are getting their talking points from a kid that looks like he's 10. All right, let's continue.
Even when President Obama went to the Vatican in July 2009 to discuss the world economic situation, he too bowed to the Pope. Upon leaving, President Obama said, "We look forward to a very strong relationship between our two countries." It is important to remember these words of President Obama and what they mean. The Pope is not just a spiritual ruler, he is a territorial ruler. The name of his country since 1929 is Vatican City.
The Pope is a monarch. He actually, according to various books, the Pope is the monarch of the world. Not just a religious leader, he is actually a political leader. The Vatican is actually a small area over in Rome, whereby the Pope is the ruler of that small area. The actual name Vatican I found very interesting. It actually means worship of the divine serpent. So we find that the very basis of the Vatican, the very word itself, means the worship of serpents.
But from Rome's perspective, the Pope rules over more than Vatican City. He rules over the earth, both spiritually and materially, or temporally. According to the Roman Catholic teaching, the Pope can keep you out of heaven, and he has absolute authority over you on earth.
And when I speak of the Pope, I speak of the papacy, that the papacy claims its two powers. Its first power is universal spiritual power over all individuals, that every person must be subject to the spiritual power of the Pope, that there is no salvation outside of the Catholic Church, which is the doctrine of the Council of Trent, as reaffirmed in the documents of Vatican II of the 1960s, it's still in the books of canon law. And the other power of the Pope, which is the second key, as you see the two keys in the Pope's flag, with the triple crown, Lord of heaven, Lord of earth, Lord of hell, and the two keys, spiritual power. The second key is the temporal power. And the temporal power is this, that the Pope believes he has the right to rule the government, the civil government of every nation. That temporal power has never been denied, it's never been disclaimed.
But there is no question that the Pope wields both swords, both a spiritual sword that the public sees as...
Okay, this documentary is great. I've seen this before. I'm going to drop this too. If you're interested in just... you know, about history of the Jesuits. There's no Gematria in it, which is just fine, but just the history of the Jesuits, the warnings against the Jesuits, you know, the things they've been involved with, the reason that people have been wary of the Jesuits for centuries. That is the link. I want to hit a few more things that people sent over here. Daniel says brawn tribute. He sent a clip of a brawn tribute. We'll see what this means. Brawn tribute? Elon, here, we'll see what it means. Brawn tribute, he says. Here we go.
You know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, you know, important. Some are not. But this one, this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
So if you guys, I see Braun tribute. I get, yeah, the Warner von Braun thing. And he's going to do it again. Remember, he did this on the 207th day of his age. Warner von Braun equals 207. Again, Warner von Braun wrote Project Mars, where the lead character is the Elon who wants to lead a mission to Mars. And there's a lot more to it as well. But for people who don't know, Warner von Braun was like one of the lead scientists for NASA. And now Elon Musk gets all the NASA money. But Warner von Braun's wife ended up dying this same day. This same exact day. And again, we didn't have that piece because they didn't announce until 2 weeks later that she died on this day. But she also died, again, this was on January 20th, the 201st day of the nation's age. Like the moon landing was on the 201st day of the year, where Warner von Braun was one of the main scientists connected to it. Neil Alden Armstrong 201, like the Jesuit order, like Project Paperclip began on the 201st day of the year to bring over the SS scientists. But yeah, again, I got deleted exactly 1 week after this, and I had a video on Twitter that got a lot of views, you know, a lot of views on Twitter, and the next thing you know, I'm deleted. That was the only place I've been able to get any views in recent years, Twitter. I was like, oh, maybe I can rebuild this thing through Twitter. Oh, never mind, I'm deleted. And I even got an email that says I'm not allowed to bring back an account, and if I verify, I'll be deleted again. And don't forget, Sig Heil equals 47, just like fascist, just like Trump. The first time Trump became president, there were rumors that he was carrying around Mein Kampf. But yeah, what a joke. And remember, Mars has a 47-year orbital cycle. Warner von Braun died 47 years before this happened. And they're calling 2025 the year of Mars. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but if you look it up in astrology, they're saying this is the year of Mars. So what a perfect year to have Musk up here. 518, what's up?
Hey, Zach, long time fan. Been following you since, like, I don't know, 2015, 2016. Got your book. You signed it for me, The Number Games. But not really anything about the timestamp, but the one you had yesterday on when you were going over 9/11 and the teacher in the classroom there. Used to be able to find so many videos on YouTube since they've taken them all down. But did you ever see the part where they had the children shouting out the words?
Oh, yeah. Kite still plane must or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, plane must hit steel.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just sick. These people are sick.
Yeah, they are. And again, in the new documentary about Bin Laden that they just put out on Israel's birthday, that was supposed to come out on Bin Laden's birthday, but then they delayed it. It begins with footage in that classroom, and it's a footage angle I've never seen. You should see the Masonic pose the teacher's just holding through the whole thing. It's just like, look at these people. Using a bunch.
What was the pose? I never noticed.
Just
that.
Hey, look it up. Look up it's new. If you have Netflix, just watch the new Bin Laden thing on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's in the opening minutes. It's like 3 minutes into the thing. You don't even have to hardly watch any of it.
No doubt.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I didn't know if you ever noticed that, but I know you did, probably, but I just wanted to throw it out there.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach, for all you do, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you have a good one. Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah, you too. All right, somebody sent over one. It looks like The Last American Vagabond. I don't really care for this guy because he's dissed my work, but I can still say that his research is pretty good. The only whole problem is he just leads you back to Israel. He's another guy that blames everything on the small hats. He says, go to an hour and 27 minutes and watch to the end. Well, I hope the end's not too far after that. Let's see here. Is there a way to skip ahead?
You're not real.
Oh, well, I mean, to the end would be another hour and 6 minutes.
The chopping block, as it were.
In other words, basically, NSA gave them the information they needed to help with the assassinations, and that probably is still going on today with the assassinations that have been taking place this past summer.
Yep. Very interesting. So we'll come back to these documents. Let's go through this first. Right, keeping this in mind and how obvious it is that Israel has been building its presence in this country. The Cradle writes, the Israeli government sought legal advice on how to bypass U.S. federal law governing the spreading of propaganda among the U.S. population by foreign states. Funny how Rubio makes this statement. And, it's so embarrassing that they think you can't see right through that. He said, an investigation published on August 17th by The Guardian in collaboration with Lee Fang and Jack Polson, the article we already showed you. U.S. federal law requires the disclosure of foreign-backed lobbying campaigns, but leaked documents reviewed by The Guardian show the Israeli government sought legal advice concerning a law out of concern that Jewish and Christian Zionists, lobbying groups working in coordination with the Israeli government, would be required to register as foreign agents and disclose their ties to Israel. Now, here's the thing. They know that. As I said, going back to JFK, FARA Act, or rather specifically AIPAC, or many other examples beyond that. So this is not about them suddenly realizing this. I think the point is, why suddenly now?
Okay, I just want to, again, this guy has made fun of my work, and he's another guy that blames everybody, brings everybody back to the small hats. Yeah, Mossad does work in our nation, and I do suspect they have a lot to do with a lot of things that go on. That building collapse in Miami on Freemasonry's birthday, of course, when the bigger buildings collapsed in New York. What happened during or in the days after Yom Kippur, the Route 91 Harvest Festival shooting on the day, leaving 91 days left in there. And I told you all year why that was going to happen in 2017, right around Yom Kippur, about atonement for your sins in that sin city. But you have to see the bigger picture. What is actually running Israel? It's the same Jesuits that are running this nation. That's why the 201 code is all over Israel, just like it's all over this nation. And again, they operate this way on purpose. Almost the whole truth community blames everything on small hats. All they know is Israel this, Rothschild that. They're not seeing the larger picture. Well, what about the Balfour Declaration? The Rothschild name's on there. Yeah, and did you notice that Rothschild died 201 days from his birthday? Who venerates this 201 code? Oh, the Jesuits. So, yeah, people like him will make fun of that information and say, well, look, all of my research is just Israel Mossad. That's because all you're looking at. You're just looking for more and more pieces to build that. And for anybody who would come here and say, well, you're just looking for pieces to blame the Jesuits, actually, you're wrong, because I started in the same lane as all these other people. as someone who was also looking for information, and when 90+% of the content on YouTube is blaming everything on small hats, not to mention when you're 18 years old and 60 Minutes shows you that there were dancing Israelis in New Jersey who were shipped back to Israel. It's even like the mainstream media, if you're paying attention, is almost trying to lead you that way. And remember, 60 Minutes, about a year ago now? They probably not even quite a year. I've lost track. It was between 6 months and a year ago. Israel had on the Mossad agent for 60 Minutes to talk about how they pretty much run the whole world. This is the stuff they're putting out on television. And of course, 60 Minutes became a big debacle for the 60th presidential election, of course, with the whole Kamala and Trump suing thing. Not to mention Donald Trump equals 60 and how he sacrificed his ex-wife again exactly 60 weeks into the Jesuit Ignatian year for the election and the big Jesuit ritual, not the big small hat ritual. But yeah, just even the phrasing that they attach to those things in history, like dancing Israelis. Look at the Gematria, 144 and 72, like Jesuit order. You can't see who's setting this stuff up and trying to steer everyone's minds the same way. I mean, please. It's not to say that he doesn't do good research and he doesn't present good information, and it's not to say the world wouldn't be better off if everybody was at least on the same level he is. But the problem is he's not connecting the right dots, and he's making fun of information he shouldn't be making fun of. He didn't have anything about, like he blamed the whole scandemic on Israel. Israel got the worst of the scandemic. How does that make sense? How does the nation that had to take the most pokey-dokes, how could they be the one that's responsible? Doesn't even make sense. No, it was all Jesuits who were in charge of the thing across the world. From understanding the Jesuits, I was able to correctly forecast why it would end in the year of the tiger. Our research is superior to these people's, and they won't admit it. That's the problem. Somebody said, listen to this Michael Obama clip. Michael Obama. Let's hear it. Michael Obama, 10 seconds. Oh, okay. It's just some kind of music in the background, but okay. Jeff Young was the first person to ever show me this photo before. Somebody since then has showed me that it's actually a Photoshop. If you've never seen this picture from back in the day where they really are looking like Big Mike, I don't know what to think. It's too hard in the age of Photoshop, but we all know that Barack did refer to Michelle as Michael many a times. I mean, people might say, well, they're similar names, Michelle and Michael, but it's like, I doubt too many people married to Michelle's have referred to their wife as Michael. I doubt that's happened too many times. 917?
Hey, what's up, Zach? How you doing?
Yeah, what's up?
You guys talking a lot about 9/11 and stuff like that. I know there's been a lot of 9/11 rituals going on in baseball this week.
This week?
TMZ also.
This week?
Yeah, like for example, I was decoding this.
The reason I'm going this week is because they always put 9 and 11 together in sports all the time, just like every week. That's why I'm going this week.
It was just with the records. Like I was looking at
exactly. That's exactly where they put it together all the time in the records. So that's why I was like, this week.
The Angels, on Monday they had 909 road wins all time. The Angels, and of course they're playing the Red Sox, a 3-game series. They win the first game. The Angels win the second game to get that 911th win. It was also their 2001st win. If you obviously the season starts in March, April, but if you put in the inauguration of George Bush the first time, it was actually their 2001 total wins. And then actually Boston picked up their 846 loss since the Bush inauguration. So it was 3 in a row. And then on top of that, the final game of the series goes 11-9 or 9-11, which I thought was funny. And then also TMZ drops a documentary a couple days ago, I think on Monday as well, about the 5th plane. Like TMZ, really?
Yeah, I hear you.
This happened 3 days ago.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, take care.
All right, you have a good one. And by the way, if you're on Patreon, you just see the kind of things we do every day. Here was my advice this morning for the Marlins-Rays game. If anyone doubts it, just sign up for Patreon and watch today's video. It's $5 Friday, so you can watch the video for $5. I said take the Marlins with the runs because there's a good chance the score here is 4-3. And if you have the Marlins with the runs, that's a win. And why did we think there's a good chance there's 4-3? Like I said, it happens all the time with the Rays. Tampa Bay Rays 43, Florida 43. And we all know in history, the 43rd president was selected in the selection that came down to Florida, where his brother was the 43rd governor and their daddy was the 43rd vice president. And the reason I've never voted in a selection is because I was 17 years old, not quite 18 when this happened, a senior in high school. And I was telling all my teachers it looked like we lived in a bullshit nation and it was King George II. And, you know, I said, for a month, the media told you it was going to come down to Florida. It sure did, where his brother was the governor. And now the Supreme Court stops the recount. I mean, it's like the Supreme Court just elected the president. And then I wish I would have known Gematria when I was a senior in high school. I'd been showing it to him, probably getting called even crazier, but I would have been all the right for it. And again, congrats to the winners. Another pick cashes, another 4-3. We thought the Rays very well might win 4-3 today. Exactly what they do. What's up, Joey?
Yo, since you're talking about this Rays-Marlins game, I want to bring up what I had for that game. I had the Rays winning, and just this is an undeniable and very simple riddle that they had. So Rays equals 27 and 63, and also 18 and 571 in Jewish Gematria. So I'm going to bring how all these four ciphers of Rays was in this game. The Marlins, they got their 2,763rd loss all time, like 27-63. Rays 27-63. They got their 18th loss on the road for the season. Rays 18. And for the
Keep in mind,
Rays,
Venus is 18 too, right? Venus is 18 because Friday's named after Venus. Venus is also 81, like today's the 81st anniversary of D-Day, and one of the top headlines is the war in Ukraine today. Go ahead.
In the Jewish cipher, Rays equals 571. And 571 is the 105th prime. Well, the Rays starting pitcher today was Zach Littell, whose birthday is October 5th, 10-5. So a perfect ritual.
All right. Yeah, good decoding, Joey. Well done.
Yeah, man. Thanks for bringing this knowledge to the forefront. It's big tech's not letting it get to the forefront.
They're not. They've put it at the bottom. But we're doing our best.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. So that's pretty much all I have, and have a good one, Zach. Peace.
All right, take care. See you, man. And see, the nice thing is with this knowledge, if you bet $1 on the Rays to win 4-3, like we thought there was a good chance today, that has a huge multiplier effect in a parlay. So you just stick a couple more games with it that are right, and you can turn $1 into upwards of $100. And again, low wager, potential nice reward to turn $1 into $100. That pays for some groceries. Things are expensive. And again, a lot of people have changed their life by using this knowledge. You can't do it every time, but you start to realize and you pay attention, this kind of stuff happens a lot. So just go through the Rays scores this year and see how many times they won a game 4-3 or they even lost 4-3. It's like, that is a way too common of a score with that team. And again, like I said, you have the Battle of Florida here. So it makes it even more likely, which is why it was the exact advice for today. So anyway, I got to go get Sweet Girl. Thank you to the people who supported the work. A few people sent over a Cash App. Much appreciated. Few people sent over Super Chats. Thank you again, Gabriella. Shout out to your daughters. Noble HSX said, saw the Chaotic Truth video. LOL. Yeah, that guy's a joke. Exposing feds and criminals. I can't see the rest of the word, but I think it says criminals. $2. Appreciate that. If everybody sent over 2, it would add up in a big way. Thank you so much. The People's Narrative shot over 5. Thank you so much. The People's Narrative and Leopard Messiah didn't donate quite a bit yesterday. Leopard Messiah, save up that rainy day money. I do appreciate the generosity though. And I got to go get Sweet Girl. I think if we keep doing these reaction things, it'll get better with time. Those of you guys who sent over videos that I didn't like today, again, please be more logical. We're trying to get content out here that will actually engage with other people. somebody writing very slowly and not saying what it's. I get that, you know, the IXXI is 9/11, and I'm sure it got to something interesting. It's just, yeah, we're trying to connect with these people who only watch these viral videos and these people that spew propaganda, how it needs to get called out. We didn't get too many clips like that today. Maybe my own audience doesn't watch the propaganda, and good for you for not, but a lot of people do. If anybody ever gets one of these propaganda pieces and they watch and somebody says something that's just absolutely ridiculous or needs to get called out, or you want to say something about it, or you want my take on it, I think those are the kind of clips we actually need to engage with the larger audience, the normies and mainstreamers. So, anyhow, we'll leave it there for now. Again, thank you to everyone who does hit the like and the share. It's really hard for me to stream on the weekend, so don't count on too many weekend streams going forward. But I'm going to try and get it to where I can stream Monday through Friday consistently. I'm going to work on that. I do stream Monday through Sunday every single day on Patreon. For those of you guys who don't know, that's where the paying customers are, because that's what this work needs, you guys. It needs financial support. You know, if we were like gangbusters, like Asmongold TV, who puts out nothing but bullshit and makes $40,000 a day, if we had that, we'd be able to compensate and overcome the algorithm. And really, there should be that kind of financial support in the world for what I've demonstrated for 12 years, working my ass off every day, bringing life-changing knowledge that you should have used to improve your financial position in more ways than one by now. That there should be that kind of support. Yours truly should be making way more than $40,000 a day. If Asmongold TV, a guy who spent his whole life playing video games and talking bullshit, can make $40,000 a day, bringing nothing to the world, yours truly should be doing a lot better than that. That's the way I see it. And if we had those kind of funds, we would be making a big difference. And again, we'd be able to overcome the suppression through, you know, billboards across the nation and this type of thing. A lot of you guys are always, Zach, put up billboards. Have you looked into how much billboards cost? I mean, that's not a feasible option. They're not that much. They're only thousands of dollars. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to spend thousands of dollars every week to have a billboard up, I'm sure. Meanwhile, average stream, you know, here I am for how long we've been on here? 3 hours. We raised $27 before YouTube takes 30%. You guys want to see those things happen? Actually support. We'll leave it there for now. And until next time.